Chapter 2349. Daodu nodded and carefully retreated to the side, fearing that some wild animal might be attacking. The screams were getting closer and closer as if someone was running towards them. The voice sounded like a girl's. Yili guessed that it was a girl from the village who accidentally entered the mountain and encountered danger. Since they encountered it, they had to save her. After all, it was a life and they couldn't just leave it behind. Soon he saw a person dressed in men's clothing running over. His appearance was unusually handsome with a feminine temperament. This person's voice sounded like a woman's as well. However, he was dressed like a man. Yili thought that this person was a little sissy. Whether it was his appearance or his voice. A wild boar was following behind this person. The wild boar was very fast and the sissy ran too fast and fell to the ground. Just as he closed his eyes in despair, a figure suddenly flew over and slashed the wild boar, causing it to fall to the ground. He was originally waiting for the wild boar to bite him, but he didn't feel any pain after a while. He opened his eyes slightly and saw a handsome man standing in front of him. That face, that silhouette, those facial features. It was definitely the best-looking person he had ever seen. There was actually such a good-looking man in the world. It was too shocking, too unexpected. As for the wild boar that was chasing him, it was also split in half and fell to the ground. This person actually killed such a powerful wild boar with a single slash. His kung fu was too powerful. Not only was he good-looking, but his kung fu was also very good. Most importantly, he saved him. He was his savior. Sissy blinked and stared at Yili in front of him for a few more times. This person must be an immortal that descended from the heavens and specially rushed over to save him. Otherwise, how could he explain why he suddenly appeared when he was in danger? Yili felt a little uncomfortable when Sissy heard this. He felt that this person's gaze was too scorching. It seemed like he had bad intentions. How could a man look at another man like that? Could it be that this person was gay? The more Yili thought about it, the more he felt a chill in his heart. He couldn't help but shudder. After that, Yili prepared to leave. Such a big wild boar can also be brought back to eat. Even if they couldn't eat it, they could still sell it. Seeing that Yili was about to leave, Sissy immediately got up from the ground and called out to Yili, Brother Immortal, where are you going? Are you going back to heaven? The corner of Yili's mouth couldn't help but twitch. He wondered if this person was crazy. First, she acted like a sissy, and then she called him Brother Immortal. Not only that, he even asked him if he wanted to return to the heavens. He couldn't fly, so how could he fly into the sky? Crazy? There must be something wrong with his head. Since he was dealing with someone who was mentally ill, he naturally couldn't say anything more. Yili paused for a while and then continued to walk forward. Sissy was a little anxious. He quickly chased after Yili and shouted behind Yili, Brother Immortal, why are you ignoring me? I have to thank you for saving me. You're so good-looking, you're so powerful. Brother Immortal, is this the path to heaven? Will I also go up into the sky with him? I haven't been to heaven yet. I don't know what it's like. Chapter 2350. The sissy behind him was very long-winded, and he was spouting crazy nonsense. Yili was speechless. He wanted to tell the sissy to shut up, but he remembered that he was talking to a mentally ill person. He might not be able to understand him. So he decided to just forget about it. Since the sissy was mentally ill, he would forgive him. Yili walked a few steps, and Daodu came out from the bushes and followed Yili obediently. When the sissy saw Daodu, he was also attracted by Daodu's delicate and cute little face. Such a good-looking baby must be a flower boy. The man who saved him just now must be the flower god. After all, he was so good-looking like a flower. What else could he be but the flower god? Brother Immortal, are you the flower god from the heavens? Such a baby must be your flower boy? Yili's mouth twitched again. What was this person talking about? How did he become the flower god? Daodu lifted his cute little face and said to the sissy, Brother, Uncle Yi is not the flower god and Daodu is not a flower boy. The sissy was slightly stunned. Not an immortal? If he wasn't an immortal, how could he be so good-looking and powerful? There was a hint of shock in his eyes as if he couldn't believe it. Are you really not immortals? The sissy couldn't help but confirm. No. Daodu shook his head heavily. We are villagers at the foot of the mountain. My family lives at the foot of the mountain. I see. The sissy took a deep breath, then looked at Yili with an even more infatuated look. I didn't expect this hero to be so skilled even though he's not an immortal. I'm impressed. Thank you for saving my life just now. Otherwise, I would have been trampled to death by a wild boar. The sissy clasped his hands and thanked Yi Li solemnly. Yi Li glanced at the sissy faintly, then said, "No need to thank me. Be careful when you go into the mountain alone. There are many wild beasts in the mountain. If you don't have the ability, it's better to leave early. Don't waste time here." The sissy heard Yi Li's words of concern and nodded heavily. "Thank you for your reminder, I'll go back now. I just lost my way for a while and ended up in this mountain." After he finished speaking, the sissy's gaze was still fixed on Yi Li. The man in front of her was really the best in the world. Not only was he good-looking and capable, but even his voice was so seductive. Listening to it made people's hearts go numb. She didn't expect such a man to appear in such a remote place. It was really rare. "Well," Yi Li responded faintly. She turned around quickly and continued to walk down the mountain with Daodu. He felt uncomfortable being stared at by the sissy, but he couldn't say anything. The sissy was weird, so it was better to leave him as soon as possible. After walking for a while, he realized that the sissy was still following him. He asked unhappily, "There's no danger now. Why are you still following me?" The sissy grinned, revealing a row of white teeth. His pair of foxy eyes narrowed into slits. He was quite cute. Yi Li was frightened by the evaluation he had just made. How could he think that another man was cute? That was too scary. His face stiffened and he became more serious. Chapter 2351. Sissy put his palms together and prayed. Then he looked at Yi Li pitifully. Yi Li could not describe his feelings. In any case, he didn't want this sissy to continue following him, and he didn't want him to continue chattering in his ear. But no matter how unwilling he was, he couldn't just leave her here. After all, sissy was already in danger. If he was not around, this person could meet again at any time. Sissy did not know any martial arts, so he did not have the ability to deal with those wild animals. Yi Li thought that after all, it was a human life. He couldn't ignore it. Then he nodded unwillingly. "Okay, then follow me down the mountain." Sissy heard and said gratefully, "Thank you, hero." Yi Li could not help but add, "You're welcome. But I have a condition for bringing you down the mountain." "Hero, what is it?" "Don't talk nonsense beside my ear. Watch your mouth." Ah, Sissy was stunned. Did the hero think that he was too naggy? But he did not say anything. It was obvious that he was praising Yi Li. It was the first time he met someone who did not like to be praised. But it was because of this that Sissy felt that Yi Li was different from others. Not only was he handsome and capable, but he also had a good character. He did not like to be flattered. It was rare. To prevent Yi Li from hating him, Sissy followed Yi Li down the mountain quietly. As he walked, he admired Yi Li's handsome back. Especially when he saw Yi Li carrying a wild boar effortlessly, he could not help but be impressed by Yi Li's godly strength. It was rare for such a good man to appear in such a poor and remote place. It seemed that his trip to Sun City was right. God had arranged for him to meet Yi Li. Yi Li walked in front and felt that his back was burning. There seemed to be a gaze staring at him from behind. It was very uncomfortable. However, Yi Li did not want to turn around because he did not want to see this sissy that made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Daodu, on the other hand, noticed that something was amiss. She tugged at Yi Li's arm and whispered into Yi Li's ear, "Uncle Yi, does that guy like you? He keeps looking at you just like how my father looks at my mother." Daodu's words sent a chill down Yi Li's spine. This sissy was really staring at him. It was too disgusting. For a grown man to act like this towards another grown man, it was obvious that he was gay and had homosexual tendencies. He was a normal man, so it was natural for him to feel weird being targeted by a man with an abnormal sexual orientation. Yi Li picked up Daodu and hurried down the mountain. He wanted to reach the foot of the mountain as soon as possible so that he could get rid of this sissy. After walking for about 10 to 20 minutes, they finally reached the entrance of the village. Yi Li stopped in his tracks and said unhappily to the sissy, "We're already at the village, so you're safe. You don't have to follow me anymore. I'll take my leave now." After Yi Li finished speaking, he quickly turned around and prepared to leave. However, Sissy called out to him, "Hero, wait." Yi Li became even more impatient. What else? Chapter 2352. The corner of Yi Li's mouth twitched. He felt that he had been inexplicably pestered by this sissy in front of him. Yi Li had promised to bring him down the mountain. Now that they were finally down the mountain, he wanted to stay at Yi Li's place for the night. It was obvious that he was up to no good. Yi Li didn't know if he was using the excuse of staying at Yi Li's place. Seeing Yi Li's impatience and unwillingness, Sissy said pitifully, Hero, I don't want to trouble you, but I really don't have a choice. You saved my life today. I know you're a good person, so you'll definitely take me in, right? I'll stay here for the night and cause you some trouble. I'll leave tomorrow, okay? Yi frowned and rejected him directly. I'm sorry, but if you really want to stay, you can stay at someone else's place. I'm also staying at a friend's place, so I can't do that. I hope you can forgive me. After Yi said that, he turned around and walked away arrogantly. He decided to ignore this sissy, so that he wouldn't push his luck and continue to ask for more. Sissy panicked for a moment. Brother Immortal completely ignored him. What should he do? Actually, he wasn't lying. He really didn't have anywhere else to go. He couldn't rush back to Jianghu City at this time. In addition, he couldn't bear to leave Yi. That was why he thought of staying at Yi's place. He thought Yi would agree, but he didn't expect to be rejected. Seeing Yi stride away, Sissy quickened his pace and jogged to catch up with Yi. After walking for a while, Sissy followed Yi to Zhao Yun'er's place. Zhao Yun'er had just finished applying the ointment on her face. Now that she washed it with water, her face looked much more moist. A woman's skin should be taken care of more to make it more delicate. In the past, she was tired of living and had no choice but to show her face in public every day to earn money. Now that she didn't lack money, she could start to enjoy her life. In addition, life in the countryside was leisurely and comfortable. It was perfect for living. As soon as Yi arrived at the courtyard, he put down the wild boar on his back and carried a few hares in his hands. Seeing so much game, Zhao Yun'er came out of the house and said with a smile, "What a rich harvest." Yes, the wild boar is quite big. We can buy it in Jianghu City. This hare can be left here for us to eat together. Everyone can have more food in the evening. Yi smiled at Zhao Yun'er. In front of others, it was difficult for Yi to show her smile under normal circumstances. Only in front of Zhao Yun'er, she smiled with a touch of affection. Zhao Yun'er also responded with a smile. Wild boar meat did not taste as good as domestic boar meat, but it could still be sold for some money. The wild boar that Yi carried back this time weighed about 50 kilograms. Wild boar meat could be sold for 8 or 9 copper coins per catty. This whole pig could be sold for 1 or 2 taels of silver. It was considered pretty good. If this happened when Zhao Yun'er had just transmigrated here, it would definitely be a huge sum of money. Sissy followed Yi to Zhao Yun'er's courtyard. He saw that Yi and Zhao Yun'er's attitude when talking to each other was completely different from how they treated him. From his perspective as a bystander, it was obvious that Yi liked Zhao Yun'er. Then he saw that Yi and Zhao Yun'er were about the same age, so he guessed that the two of them might be husband and wife. The possibility of them being husband and wife was quite high. Chapter 2353. He observed Zhao Yun'er's appearance. She seemed to be quite average. Although she could be considered delicate and pretty, her looks were still far from being a beauty. Especially when Zhao Yun'er and Yi stood together, the difference in looks was even greater. A handsome man like Yi should be matched with an even prettier beauty. Why did he fall for an ordinary-looking village girl? Sissy frowned and couldn't figure it out. Zhao Yun'er noticed the sissy, who followed them into the courtyard, so she asked the sissy a question. "You are? My name is Anil." Sissy smiled and introduced himself to Zhao Yun'er. "May I know why you've come to my house?" Well, Anil glanced at Yi first, then revealed his purpose. "I wanted to ask if I could stay at your house for the night. I can't go back to Jianghu City at this time." Yi saw that Sissy had shamelessly followed him to Zhao Yun'er's house and now mentioned staying in front of Zhao Yun'er. Before Zhao Yun'er could reply, Yi said, "Yun'er, your house is already full. There shouldn't be any way to keep him, right? There are other families in our village. Why don't we let him stay at someone else's house?" Anyway, it was fine as long as Sissy wasn't at Zhao Yun'er's house. He didn't want him to appear in front of her again. Just looking at him made her feel uncomfortable. Zhao Yun'er frowned and was a little conflicted. There were indeed too many people living in her house. It was really inconvenient to let a stranger stay at her house, but there was an empty house. They could make do with it. Facing this person who called himself Anil, Zhao Yun'er didn't know if she should reject him. Seeing that he was alone, she felt a little pitiful. If she rejected him, the other families in the village might not be willing to let him stay at their house. If her family didn't have a house to live in, it was even more impossible for other families to have one. Basically, the houses of every family in the village were not big enough. With a few family members squeezed into one house, it was really inconvenient to accommodate a stranger. From this person's attire, Zhao Yun'er could roughly guess that his identity should not be simple. At the very least, he should be the son of a wealthy family. The material and embroidery of the clothes were very good. How could an ordinary family afford it? However, this person didn't look very tall, only about 1.6 meters. His appearance was also on the feminine side. He didn't look like a man but more like a woman. Anil hurriedly said, "I know it's troublesome for you to stay overnight, but I can pay for it just like staying in a restaurant." Anlu said and quickly took out 2 gold ingots from his sleeves. He took the gold ingots and asked Zhao Yun'er, "Miss, I don't know if this money is enough. I beg you just let me stay for one night. I'll leave tomorrow." Zhao Yun'er thought about it and finally agreed. Seeing that this person was really helpless, it wasn't difficult to help him. Anyway, there were many people in her family. One more person wouldn't matter. "All right, my family will vacate a room for you to stay for one night. As for the money, there's no need. It's no trouble at all." Anil said excitedly, "Ah, thank you so much, Mississippi Miss, you're really a great person. Young master is too polite." Zhao Yun'er replied with a slight smile. Chapter 2354. Anil also sensed Yi Li's displeasure and felt very uncomfortable. He hadn't done anything wrong, so why did Yi Li seem to hate him so much? Especially the cold aura emanating from Yi Li, which made him shiver uncontrollably. Yi Li frowned and walked towards Anil with a gloomy expression. Anil thought that Yi Li was going to hit him and chase him out of the courtyard. However, when he saw Yi Li standing in front of him, he stopped in his tracks. Because Yi Li was much taller than him, when they stood face to face, Yi Li looked even taller. Anil raised his head and looked at Yi Li. His heart couldn't stop thumping and he was extremely nervous. He quickly took a few deep breaths and tried his best to calm himself down. Standing so close to Yi Li, he could smell the faint scent of sweat on his body. Most importantly, he could see Yi Li's features at such a close distance. They were so beautiful that it was suffocating. Especially his eyes. They were like stars shining brightly. His eyelashes were very dark and long, like a pair of butterfly wings. They fluttered like butterfly wings when he blinked. Anil felt a strange feeling in his heart. The man in front of him was like a luminous object, emitting a mesmerizing glow. He couldn't help but be attracted to him. Yi Li looked down at Anil. Madame, and clenched her fists and asked Yi Li nervously, What do you want?" Yi Li didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached out and placed his hand on Anil's hand. Anil's heart skipped a beat. He wondered if Yi Li was going to do something to him. But it was broad daylight. It wouldn't be good if someone saw them. If Yi Li wanted to do something to him, he could have done it secretly at night. Anyway, he was staying here tonight. Just as Anil's imagination was running wild, Yi Li dug out the 2 gold ingots from Anil's hands. Yi Li was stunned. Reality seemed to be a little different from what he had imagined. Why did Yi Li only take the gold ingot in his hand? After Yi Li received the gold ingot, he said calmly, "Since you're staying overnight, you'll have to pay the lodging fee." Anil came back to his senses and smiled awkwardly. Of course. In any case, he didn't lack that bit of money. As long as Yi Li was happy, it was fine. Of course, the most important thing was that he could stay here overnight. If he could stay the night, he would be able to find out more about Yi Li's situation. Spending this small amount of money was definitely worth it. Yi Li smirked, then turned around and walked up to Zhao Yun'er. He stuffed the gold ingot he took from Anil into Zhao Yun'er's hands. "Yun'er, take it. We can't make a losing deal. Besides, he's the one who offered to pay this time. We can't possibly not take the money, right?" Zhao Yun'er smiled and looked at the 2 gold ingots in her hands. She thought that the lodging fee was really high. Even the most luxurious inn in Yang City wouldn't cost so much money for a night. Yi Li had been living with her for some time. She wasn't sure if he had been influenced by her, but he had also learned this skill. However, seeing that Anil really did look like a rich person who didn't care about money, it was just as Yi Li said. They really shouldn't not take the money. Zhao Yun'er nodded. "Yes, you're right. But you also have a share of the money. Let's share it." Zhao Yun'er said and put another ingot of gold into Yi Li's hand. Yi Li knew Zhao Yun'er's character, so he didn't refuse. Chapter 2355. Yi Li shuddered at the thought that the sissy would be staying at Zhao Yun'er's house for the night, which meant that he would have to see him for another night. Goosebumps broke out all over Yi Li's body, and the feeling in his heart became even stranger. At this moment, he felt like he was being targeted by another man. However, he had a normal sexual orientation and was completely uninterested in the sissy. Yi Li turned around and went back into the house, feeling a little stifled. He didn't want to face the sissy. Zhao Yun'er saw Yi Li's reaction. He seemed to be very unwilling to let Anil stay the night. She didn't know what happened between the two of them. Since she had already said it, she couldn't go back on her words. Zhao Yun could only continue to let Madame stay. Come in and rest for a while. Zhao Yun called out to Anil. Madame nodded vigorously in response, then eagerly entered Zhao Yun's house. It seemed like it was Anil's first time seeing a house in the countryside, so he was very curious and looked around. He couldn't get enough of it. Zhao Yun also allowed Anil to look around her house. Although the house wasn't very big, it was considered pretty good in the countryside. Moreover, this house was basically designed by Zhao Yun, so the structure was a little different from ordinary houses. Anil looked for a while before looking away. He then smiled at Zhao Yun and said, "Your house is really small, but it seems to be the biggest in this village. If a house in the countryside is like this, it naturally can't compare to a young master's house." Anil nodded and said, "That's true. No one can compare to my house. So the houses of ordinary people are actually like this." Anli's mouth muttered something again and Zhao Yun didn't hear it clearly. However, from Anil's behavior and words she could tell that he was definitely a local tycoon. It was probably the first time he came to the countryside and saw the living conditions of the villagers. "My family's condition is also like this. I hope Gongzi does not dislike it." Zhao Yun thought that Anlu was not used to living in her family's simple and crude conditions. Anil quickly waved his hand and said, No, I don't mind. I think it's pretty good. The bigger the house, the colder it gets. Your house isn't big, but there are so many people. It's actually quite cozy." Anil grinned. The smile on his face was pure, like that of a little girl. It had been a long time since Zhao Yun had seen someone with such a pure smile. She thought that Anil must be very innocent as well. For some reason, after seeing Anil's smile, Zhao Yun had a good impression of him. Of course, this kind of good impression was just pure liking. There was no other meaning. "I also think that a small room would be cozy. A big house isn't necessarily better than a small one. The most important thing is to live together as a family. Harmony and joy are the most important things." Anil agreed with Zhao Yun's words. He smiled and replied, "You're right. But I have another question. What's the name of that handsome brother just now?" At the mention of Yi Li, Anil's face revealed a hint of shyness. Zhao Yun was slightly taken aback. Naturally, she knew that Anil was asking about Yi Li. However, looking at Anil's expression, it seemed like he had other thoughts about Yi Li. A grown man being overly concerned about another grown man was always very strange. Chapter 2356. Whether it was in ancient times or modern times, there seemed to be homosexuals. The Anil in front of her gave off a feminine vibe. He might be the legendary bottom. He might have been mesmerized by Yi Li's handsome appearance. That was why he cared so much about Yi Li. No wonder Yi Li treated Anil like that. He probably saw through Anil's feelings for her. Zhao Yun had read a lot of romance novels in the 21st century, so she wasn't opposed to relationships between men. As long as it was true love, it could break through the restrictions of age, status and even gender. As long as they loved each other, they could be together. There was no need to care so much. Unfortunately, Yi Li's sexual orientation was normal. He probably wouldn't accept Anil. Seeing that Zhao Yun was silent for a while and didn't answer his question, Anil waved his hand in front of Zhao Yun's face. "Mississippi. What are you thinking about?" Zhao Yun came back to her senses. She coughed and replied awkwardly, "Ahem, that. I'm sorry. I was lost in thought. Do you mean the good-looking brother is Yi Li?" "Yi Li?" "Yes. His name is Yi Li." "Yi Li." Anil couldn't help but mutter a few words. Yi Li was a nice name. He thought that the name of a country bumpkin would be very old-fashioned. That was because he heard people calling out other men's names. They were all very old-fashioned. Daju, Dali, Dinyo, Hu. She was originally worried that Yi Li's name was also old-fashioned. Now that she heard Yi Li's name, she realized that her worries were unnecessary. After all, Yi Li was so good-looking. Those old-fashioned names didn't match. "That. I have another question." Anil continued shyly. Zhao Yun thought that Anil wanted to find out more about Yi Li. "Young master, please feel free to ask." Unexpectedly, Anil asked, "Are you Yi Li's wife?" Zhao Yun quickly shook her head and explained, "No, Yi Li is my friend. He's staying at my house temporarily. I'm already someone else's wife. Our child is already 3 years old. We're going to get married in 2 days." Upon hearing that Zhao Yun was not Yi Li's wife, Anil heaved a sigh of relief. That was good. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Anil smiled at Zhao Yun and said, "Miss, I wish you all the best." Haha. Zhao Yuner laughed heartily. After chatting with Anil for a while, Bian Chao began to eat dinner. Because of the game Yili had brought back, the dinner at home was very sumptuous. Anil was also very satisfied with the food. In particular, he had a soft spot for Zhao Yuner's home-cooked dishes and roasted rabbit meat. Yili was eating at the same table as Anil. When he saw Anil like this, he couldn't help but feel a little disdainful. When he saw Anil finish an entire wild rabbit, Yili couldn't control his emotions. He said to Madam, "You've already eaten a lot. Since you've eaten so much, you have to pay for your food." Anil was slightly taken aback. He looked up at Yili and tried hard to swallow the food in his mouth. He really didn't care about his image. He had embarrassed himself in front of Yili. Yili looked at him with disdain. Anil couldn't help but feel a little sad. Chapter 2357. Zhao Yuner was a little confused. Yili was usually quite gentle and was very friendly to his family. Why was he so cold and picky when facing Anil? Although Anil cared a little too much for Yili, he shouldn't have such an attitude. Anil smiled embarrassedly. He quickly took out another gold ingot and handed it to Zhao Yuner. Of course. Yili is right. The dinner tonight is so sumptuous, of course we should pay more. Miss Yuner, I wonder if this is enough. The family at the dinner table saw Anil take out gold ingots like other people take out copper coins. They couldn't help but sigh at how rich Anil was. Zhao Yun was also shocked by Anlu. This person is really a big local tyrant. Just going out for a trip, how many gold ingots did he bring with him? Even if he was from a rich family, he would still feel a little pain when taking out gold ingots, right? Anil seemed to have no concept of money. Zhao Yun thought that she had received 2 gold ingots from him for one night. She felt that she had taken a big advantage of him. It's enough. Let's not talk about eating for a day. It's enough for you to eat at my house for a few days, Zhao Yuner said. Although the food at his house was good, 1 gold ingot was enough to last them for a long time even if they charged according to the restaurant's price. Is that so? Then can I stay at your house for a few more days? Miss Yuner, I think this place is pretty good. I want to stay for a few more days and have fun. Anil said excitedly. Other than wanting to stay for a few more days, the most important reason was that he didn't want to leave. Because if he left, he wouldn't be able to see Yili again. Sob. He really couldn't bear to leave. No. Before Zhao Yuner could reply, Yili replied with disdain. He couldn't stand this sissy, Lu Yuan anymore. He would probably go crazy, let alone stay for a few more days. Looking at Yili's angry face, Anlu curled his lips with some grievances. He tried hard to hold back his tears and not let himself cry. Zhao Yuner looked at the scene in front of her very awkwardly. Yili's dislike of Anil was beyond her imagination. Perhaps as a straight man, he couldn't accept a sissy who was interested in him. Yili took a deep breath and adjusted her mood to be a little normal. The world is big and there are so many places you can go. Since you have money, you can live happily anywhere. Why do you stay and make trouble? Anlu put down the food in his hand and said pitifully, "Actually, I ran away from home this time. I don't know where I can go by myself. It wasn't easy to come here. I think it's pretty good, so I want to stay for a few more days. After waiting for a few more days, I might have to go home. I don't know if I'll have the chance to come out again." Zhao Yuner and her family felt pity for Anil when they heard him speak. So Anil had run away from home. It wasn't easy. If he didn't know where to go, what was the use of having money? Besides, Anil was so thin and weak. If people found out that he had a lot of money on him, it would be the most dangerous thing. Who knew how many people would target him? If he met someone who wanted to rob him, Madam would be in danger. Chapter 2358. Liang Jinxiao was a kind-hearted person. When he heard Anil's words, he pitied him. She asked, "My child, how could you run away from home? How worried will your family be if you leave home like this?" Anil's eyes reddened at Liang Jinxiao's question. He wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes and said, "Auntie, you don't know. Actually, I don't really want to run away from home, but I have no choice. My family is forcing me to marry someone I don't like. That's why I want to run away from home. I want to scare them and wait for them to compromise before I go back. If they force me to marry someone I don't like again, then I won't go back for the rest of my life." Liang Jinxiao was silent for a moment. So that's what he was trying to say. Yili glanced at Anil indifferently, wondering if Anil was lying to gain sympathy. However, regardless of whether Anil was lying or not, it was too embarrassing for a man like him to cry. As the saying goes, men don't cry easily. He didn't know how to be embarrassed to cry over such a trivial matter in front of so many people. Zhao Yun furrowed her brows and was a little angry. The worst thing about ancient times was that parents' orders and matchmakers' words were highly valued. They couldn't even make decisions for the people they were going to spend the rest of their lives with. It was really disappointing and helpless. Even wealthy families couldn't make their own decisions in marriage. It was indeed painful to live with someone you don't like for the rest of your life. If that was really the case, then it was understandable why Anil ran away from home. She thought about how her marriage with Mu Lianfeng had been delayed for so long because of these so-called matching families. If it wasn't for the emperor's mediation, she and Mu Lianfeng probably wouldn't have been able to consummate their marriage. Zhao Wenhua sighed. Sigh, child, you can be angry, but you still have to listen to your parents. Your family will definitely be very worried if you leave like this. You have to go back early. You have to have a good talk with them. You can't just leave like this. Anil sobbed. No, I won't go back if you force me to marry someone I don't like. Liang Jinxiao patted Zhao Wenhua's hand, signaling Zhao Wenhua not to speak. Child, if you don't mind, you can stay at my house for the next few days. My house is very lively, but it might be a little crowded when you live there. As long as you don't mind. Liang Jinxiao smiled gently and said to Anil. Although she was a parent, her thoughts were different from Zhao Wenhua's. She still had to choose someone she liked for the rest of her life. Living with someone without feelings would be a kind of torture. Just like how she treated her children, she would choose the person she liked according to their wishes, and not just make do with whatever she wanted. Otherwise, she would have arranged another marriage for Zhao Tianan. Now that Zhao Tianan had Mu Hin, he liked Mu Hin. Of course, Liang Jinxiao was also very satisfied with Mu Hin. That's right. Since you don't have anywhere to go, why don't you stay at my house for a few days? You can leave when you've decided where you want to go or when you want to go home. Mu Hin had a soft personality. After hearing Anil's words, she also expressed sympathy, so she followed behind Liang Jinxiao and agreed. Anil was more than happy to receive an invitation from Zhao Yun'er's family. She immediately nodded and said, Okay. Chapter 2359. No matter how unhappy Yili was, he couldn't say anything against it when Zhao Yun'er's family nodded in agreement. He was just an outsider in Zhao Yun'er's family and couldn't make decisions for Zhao Yun'er's family. Zhao Yun'er's family had the final say on who to let stay. He couldn't get in the middle. Yili felt a little stifled when he thought about how he would have to face this sissy in the next few days. This feeling of being entangled was very uncomfortable. Anil was very excited. He glanced at Yili from time to time as he ate Zhao Yun'er's food. Zhao Yun'er sighed in her heart when she saw Anil's reaction. Did she cheat Yili by taking in Anil? Seeing Yili's expression, she seemed to be very unwilling. She looked at Anil again and understood that he liked Yili. Zhao Yun'er began to think about Anil's reason for running away from home. He didn't want to marry someone he didn't like. Was it because of Anil's sexual orientation? He wasn't interested in women even though he didn't want to marry, but in this era the acceptance of men between men was still very low. Even in the 21st century, it was still difficult for two men to be together openly. If they were really together, they would have to accept the views of the world. Zhao Yun'er put away the messy thoughts in her mind. She didn't want to think too much about it. Even if Anil was interested in Yili, it would be futile if Yili didn't agree or accept him. In the next 2 days, Anil's arrival added a lot of joy to Zhao Yun'er's family. Zhao Yun'er's family didn't have anything else to do other than preparing for Zhao Yun'er's wedding. The wedding date was getting closer and closer, and the crown prince's residence had also sent people to deliver a lot of things. The betrothal gifts piled up in Zhao Yun'er's room. When the Shitsi manor sent the betrothal gifts, many people in the village came to watch. When had anyone seen such a scene? Meanwhile, Zhao Yun'er went from being a village woman to being the high and mighty Shitsi's wife. Everyone in Shuilan village took delight in talking about it, so much so that everyone in Yang City knew that the Shitsi was going to marry a peasant woman. Hence, Zhao Yun'er became a celebrity in Yang City. In the 21st century she would definitely be an internet celebrity. But many ordinary women hope to be like Zhao Yun'er. One day they can also have a meteoric rise and marry a powerful and influential man. Zhao Yun'er's experience gave others the feeling that Cinderella had met her Prince Charming. Anil stayed in Zhao Yun'er's house for a while and learned about Zhao Yun'er's situation. He only knew that Zhao Yun'er was going to marry the current Shitsi, which surprised him. When he first met Zhao Yun'er, he thought that she was just an ordinary village woman. He didn't expect her to become the Shitsi's wife in the blink of an eye. Yes. The truth was too shocking. Soon it was Zhao Yun'er's wedding day. The Shitsi manor had arranged for a wedding nanny. Early in the morning, Zhao Yun'er was dragged out of bed to dress up before she had slept enough. The wedding dress that she had ordered was also done. It was very beautiful. The pattern on it was embroidered with gold silk. One look and one could tell that it was very expensive. It was a pity that such an exquisite wedding dress could only be worn once. After all, a woman could only get married once in her life under normal circumstances. When she tried on the wedding dress after she got married, the whole family was stunned. A wedding dress that cost a lot of money was indeed different. Chapter 2360. It seemed that Mu Lianfeng didn't want her to be wronged at all, so he brought all the good things to her. Su Qingyao was also looking forward to the wedding. She only hoped that everything would go well and she would officially become Mu Lianfeng's wife from today on. The matchmaker arranged by Mu Lianfeng this time was very famous in Yang City. Many young ladies from big families got married. The matchmaker looked like a kind old woman. Seeing the time, the matchmaker began to dress Zhao Yun'er. While combing Zhao Yun'er's hair, she sang, "Comb to the head, don't worry about wealth. Comb to the head, don't worry about illness or worry." When the matchmaker finished singing, Zhao Yun'er's hair was also combed. After this period of conditioning, Zhao Yun'er's hair became much softer than before. It was black and smooth, very easy to take care of. After combing, the matchmaker looked at Zhao Yun'er with a smile and couldn't help praising, "The bride's eyebrows and eyes are so delicate. I can tell at first sight that you are a blessed person. Today is a good day. Let's wear a lily bun. I wish the bride and groom a peaceful and happy life." The matchmaker was very eloquent and her words were very pleasant. Zhao Yun'er nodded with a smile. "Thank you. You're welcome." The matchmaker replied with a smile and then began to work on Zhao Yun'er's hair. In Zhao Yun'er's room, Liang Jinxiao, Mulan and her sister were all there. Other sisters-in-law of old Zhao's family also came to join in the fun. For them, it was not only Zhao Yun'er's wedding day, but also the most important thing was that Zhao Yun'er married Mu Lianfeng and became the current princess consort, which made their old Zhao's family proud. Who wouldn't be envious when bragging? After seeing Zhao Yun'er's wedding dress and the gold jewelry she was going to wear, they all praised. It was different to be the princess consort. Even if one of these good things was taken out, the country people couldn't earn it in their lifetime. The matchmaker was used to this and soon dressed Zhao Yun'er up. Zhao Yun'er's face was smeared with a layer of white powder and some rouge to make her face look more healthy. After dressing up carefully, she looked more beautiful than usual. After dressing up, the people in the room praised her. "Little Yun, you're really beautiful today. You're as beautiful as a fairy. Tonight you'll definitely captivate the young master." Feng Zhangxiao praised, but it was a little exaggerated. Chen Zhuzhe smiled as well. "It's indeed beautiful. Clothes make the man and Buddha makes the gold. This is indeed the truth." After dressing up like this, Yun-er doesn't lose out to those noble young ladies. Zhao Ping'er looked at Zhao Yun'er's beautiful appearance. Although she admitted that Zhao Yun'er was very beautiful today, she didn't want to say it out loud because she was very jealous. Zhao Yun'er was lucky enough to marry the current Prince Shitsi. Now she could wear such a beautiful wedding dress and wear such beautiful jewelry. Thinking back to when she married Qin Yuan, at that time she felt that it was good. Now compared to Zhao Yun'er, the difference was too big. There was no harm without comparison. She probably couldn't compare to Zhao Yun'er in this lifetime. Liang Jinxiao's eyes were a little red. It was said that the most beautiful moment of a bride's life was the day of her wedding. But her daughter's wedding meant that she would no longer be part of her maiden family. When Liang Jinxiao thought of this, she couldn't help but feel sad. Her Yun-er would be a member of the Shitsi estate from now on. Chapter 2361. Seeing Liang Jinxiao's reddened eyes, Chen Zhozhe hurriedly comforted her. Feng Zhangxiao followed behind Chen Zhozhe and echoed, "That's right, third sister-in-law. Why are you crying? Yun'er is so lucky. She's going to marry the heir apparent today and become the heir apparent's consort. How many people can't wait for this to happen? If it were me, I would be grinning from ear to ear. Why would I cry?" Feng Zhangxiao was extremely envious of Liang Jinxiao in her heart. If she could give birth to a girl like Zhao Yun'er, she would probably wake up laughing in her dreams. If her daughter became the heir apparent's consort, wouldn't she be worry-free for the rest of her life and live a good life that everyone envied? Hearing Chen Zhozhe and Feng Zhangxiao's words, Liang Jinxiao felt much better. That's right. She and Zhao Wenhua had long hoped that Yun'er would marry the heir apparent and become the heir apparent's consort. They didn't want to live together without any status and be talked about by others. How could she be sad about the day that she had waited so long for? Liang Jinxiao hurriedly rubbed her eyes and wiped away her tears. A smile tugged at the corner of her mouth as she replied, "That's right, that's right. It's Yun'er's big day. I should be happy." "Ah, third sister-in-law, that's right." After Zhao Yun'er dressed up, the wedding nanny took out a red veil and placed it on Zhao Yun'er's head. Zhao Yun'er sat in front of the bed and quietly waited for Mu Lianfeng's arrival. The heir apparent's wedding procession would probably be very large and there would be many people. It would probably take some time, so Zhao Yun'er wasn't in a hurry. At this time, many people had already arrived at Zhao Yun'er's house. In addition to the people from the village who wanted to join in the fun and eat at the banquet, many people from the nearby villages who liked to watch the fun specially came to Shuilan village. Among them, many young girls wanted to see what the heir apparent looked like and how beautiful he was. For a moment, Zhao Yun'er's small yard was crowded with people. Everyone was crowded together as if they were holding a large-scale event in the 21st century. Liang Jinxiao accompanied Zhao Yun'er in the house, while the men of the Zhao family made some arrangements. Seeing that there was not enough manpower, Yi Li and Anil volunteered to help. During their time at Zhao Yun'er's house, they already felt like family with Zhao Yun'er. "It's so lively today." Anil went up to Yi Li and giggled. Anil had never seen such excitement before, so he was very excited. This was the first time she saw villagers getting married. Especially when she saw so many villagers, she felt that it was unusually lively. Unlike in her house, there were rarely such lively events. Everyone gathered together and happily chatted and gossiped. This was something he didn't even dare to think about. After seeing how good the countryside was, Anil was even more reluctant to go back. He couldn't wait to stay at Zhao Yun'er's house forever. He would even be happy to live there for the rest of his life. Yi Li didn't respond to Anil. Instead, his face darkened as if he was unhappy. Anil glanced at Yi Li's face and could clearly feel Yi Li's displeasure. It seemed like this guy had been like this since early in the morning. Who made him angry? Anil went up to Yi Li and fawned over him. "Yi Li, what's wrong with you? Are you not feeling well? Why do you have such an ugly face? Today is Miss Yun'er's wedding. Everyone is laughing to add to the festive atmosphere. Don't cry and look unlucky." Chapter 2362. Anil was a little hurt. He cared so much about Yi Li, but Yi Li treated him with such an attitude. But it seemed like Yi Li never looked at him in the eye. He always looked at him with disgust, which made him a little sad. He didn't think he did anything wrong, so why did Yi Li hate him so much? Sigh. Seeing that Yi Li didn't treat anyone else like this, he only treated her this way. Anil felt more and more upset the more he thought about it. He didn't know what he could do to change Yi Li's attitude towards him. He didn't ask for Yi Li to like him a lot, as long as he didn't hate him as much as he did now. Even though Yi Li treated him coldly, Anil still forced a smile and said to Yi Li with a grin, "I'm just concerned about you. You should share everything with others. Don't keep it to yourself. Otherwise, how uncomfortable would it be?" Yi Li looked at Anil coldly and warned him, "Don't you understand what I'm saying? How many times do you want me to repeat myself? You don't have to care about my business." Anil felt wronged. He cared about others, but others didn't like it. Seriously, he took his good intentions for granted. If it weren't for the fact that he liked Yi Li, he wouldn't have bothered with him. Anil sighed deeply. He thought about how everyone liked him since he was young. How many people liked him? How many people tried to curry favor with him at the restaurant? But he didn't like anyone except for Yi Li. This man was good in every way. He was outstanding in every way. He was the best in the world. If he hadn't met him personally, he wouldn't have believed that such a man existed in the world. The only bad thing was that her attitude towards him was too cold. Anil felt defeated for the first time, but he couldn't do anything about Yi Li. Yi Li ignored Anil and turned around to continue helping Zhao Wenhua. Anil stood there in a daze as he watched Yi Li turn around and leave. His eyes reddened slightly. The surrounding bustle was still going on, and there were many villagers chatting and laughing. Anil tried his best to calm himself down and comfort himself to continue working hard. Sincerity can move metal and stone. As long as he was determined to do something well, one day Yi Li would accept him. And Li's lips curled into a smile as he cheered himself on. At about 10 o'clock, a large group of people arrived in front of Zhao Yun'er's courtyard. From the looks of it, there were at least 100 people. Normally, there would be at most a dozen or so people getting married. The wedding procession of over 100 people was still quite shocking. Everyone was wearing red clothes and playing musical instruments. It was unusually festive and lively. The leader was Mu Lianfeng. He was also wearing a red wedding outfit. Because of his excitement, he was more high-spirited than usual. He looked even more handsome and elegant. His eyebrows were like stars. His handsome face looked as if it had been carefully sculpted. His jade crown was tied up, and his sharp eyebrows added a bit of heroic spirit. Mu Lianfeng sat on the back of a horse looking very noble. The young ladies who came to join in the fun and wanted to see the real face of the crown prince were deeply mesmerized by Mu Lianfeng's appearance. After seeing Mu Lianfeng's appearance, they knew what a handsome man was. Compared to the men in the mountains, Mu Lianfeng's appearance was not just a little bit better. There was no comparison at all. Chapter 2363. It was the same reaction as fans in the 21st century seeing their idols. Isn't the heir apparent a bit too handsome? He's really too good-looking. Oh my God. He's so good-looking. Not to mention that he has status and money, I'm willing to throw myself at him just based on his face. That's right, that's right. After seeing the heir apparent's true appearance, I realized that the men in the countryside are too different. I'm afraid that after seeing the heir apparent's appearance, I won't be interested in those sloppy men in the village anymore. How lucky is this Zhao Yun'er to be able to marry the heir apparent and have the heir apparent take her as his wife? Why didn't the heavens bestow me one? Her luck is 1 in a million. Ordinary people can't enjoy this kind of good fortune. We can only be envious. Let's not think about such a good thing. Not to mention being the heir apparent's wife or concubine, even being the heir apparent's maidservant would be my dream come true. A woman lowered her head and touched the tuft of hair in front of her chest as she spoke with a shy expression. Mu Lianfeng's astonishing appearance had captivated the hearts of many girls. Mu Lianfeng didn't notice the reactions of the people around him at all. He only hoped that he could quickly receive Zhao Yun'er and marry her back to the heir apparent's residence. Behind Mu Lianfeng was another man on horseback. This man was wearing bright yellow clothes. It was none other than the current emperor. It was rare for him to leave the palace for such a lively occasion. He was also interested in seeing the customs of the people in this kind of joyous occasion. He wanted to get closer to the common people and understand their lives more. In addition, he didn't have anything else to do, so he simply came to join in the fun to pass the time. It had to be said that he was right to come today. It was very lively along the way and the emperor was in a very good mood. Along the way he learned more about the local customs. Seeing that it was the first time he was so close to the people, he felt very gratified. The procession finally stopped in front of Zhao Yun'er's courtyard. Anil was also joining in the fun. He followed the crowd and watched the mighty procession. When he saw the bright yellow figure on the horse, his heart suddenly tightened. Damn. CK. Anil's eyes widened in disbelief. He rubbed his eyes and continued reading. His heart thumped loudly as he muttered, "It's over. It's over." It really was him. The world was so big, but why did it feel so small sometimes? How could they bump into him here? Obviously, such a poor and remote place shouldn't have been discovered. Shocked, Anil quickly turned around and prepared to escape. CK. This must not be discovered. If he was found out, then he would have to go home with his tail between his legs. He was having a good time here, so how could he bear to go back? Anil had just run a few steps when Zhao Wenhua called for Anil to come over and help. Anil frowned and said pitifully, "Uncle Zhao, my stomach hurts and I want to take a dump. Let's go to the latrine now." Zhao Wenhua nodded. "All right, go ahead." Humans had 3 urges, so they couldn't be forced to hold it in. Anil nodded vigorously. He had only taken a few steps when Zhao Wenhua called out to him again. "Wait." Anil thought that there was something else, so he reluctantly turned around and asked with a smile, "Uncle Zhao, is there anything else?" Zhao Wenhua smiled foolishly. "Nothing else. I just wanted to say that you haven't taken your toilet paper. Do you want to take some?" Chapter 2364. Anil didn't expect Zhao Wenhua to talk about this. He thought that Zhao Wenhua was going to say something important. So he said to Zhao Wenhua, "No need, no need." Zhao Wenhua was stunned. His face was full of shock and confusion. "This, young master, and don't you use toilet paper when you clean your bowels?" Anil's face turned red in an instant. Woo-woo, it seemed that he was misunderstood. What should he do? If he didn't use toilet paper to clean his ass, he would probably be disliked, right? Well, Not to mention others, if he met someone who didn't clean his ass when he was cleaning his bowels, he would probably also dislike him. Ahem, that. Uncle Zhao, actually I still have toilet paper in my hand so you don't need to use it anymore. Anil explained with a red face. Oh, so it's like that. Zhao Wenhua nodded. If that was the case, then it was understandable. At first, he thought that Anil really didn't clean his ass when he was cleaning his bowels. Like I said, no one would have such a fetish. Ahem, Uncle Zhao, I'll go to the toilet first. Yes. Anil quickly flashed to the back of Zhao Yiner's house. Fortunately, there were many people in Zhao Yiner's courtyard today. Otherwise, he would have been discovered. In order to continue staying in Zhao Yiner's house, he must hide his whereabouts well. It was much safer to hide behind Zhao Yiner's house. The bustle in front of the courtyard continued. Mu Lianfeng and the emperor dismounted from their horses. Mu Lianfeng walked to Zhao Yiner's courtyard with a face full of metal. At this time, the matchmaker said with a smile, "The groom is here to pick up the bride. The happy occasion has arrived. The bride is preparing to get married." After shouting, the matchmaker went to Zhao Yiner, helped Zhao Yiner up, and helped Zhao Yiner out. The eyes of the people in the courtyard suddenly fell on Zhao Yiner's body. The bright red wedding dress was very dazzling in the sun, especially the golden embroidery on it, which was even more dazzling. All the girls present praised Zhao Yun'er. Today's dress was so beautiful that it made people envious. After the matchmaker took Zhao Yun'er out, she handed her to Mu Lianfeng. She smiled at Mu Lianfeng and said, "The groom is finally here. Hurry and get on the sedan chair." Good. Mu Lianfeng was full of smiles. His gaze landed on Zhao Yun'er and he couldn't bear to look away. Seeing Zhao Yun'er standing in front of him in a red wedding dress, his heart was filled with unspeakable joy. He had been waiting for this day and night, and finally this day had arrived. To protect his wife's Tuza's wife Tess a wife's to be, as he leave to protect him. At this moment he realized how happy he was to be able to marry the woman he loved. The matchmaker helped Zhao Yun'er onto the sedan chair and shouted to set off. Everything happened too fast for Zhao Yun'er's family. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinqiao stood together. They were reluctant to let Zhao Yun'er leave, but they knew that they had to let Zhao Yun'er leave. Because Zhao Yun'er was going to marry Mu Lianfeng and become his Shizi's consort. From now on, no one would dare to mention Zhao Yun'er's pregnancy before marriage. No one would laugh at Zhao Yun'er and Mu Lianfeng being together, but Mu Lianfeng never gave her a status. The mighty wedding procession left after a few minutes. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinqiao looked at the departing procession, and their eyes couldn't help but turn red. They were so happy that they cried tears of joy. They were happy for Zhao Yun'er. Finally, the day they had waited for had arrived. Chapter 2365. There was a touch of sadness and reluctance in his eyes, but at the same time he wished Zhao Yun'er well. "Yun'er, you must be happy. I know that this man will treat you well, so I let go. If he dares to bully you in the slightest, I will not let him off easily," Yili said in a low voice. When the wedding procession disappeared from sight, Yili turned around and disappeared from Zhao Yun'er's courtyard. After the wedding procession left, Zhao Yun'er's house was bustling with activity. A banquet was held. Because Zhao Yun'er did not have a chef to cook for this banquet, they specially went to the town to invite a chef over. Although they spent more money, it was not worth mentioning to Zhao Yun'er's family now. This chef's culinary skills were not bad. Although some dishes were not as good as Zhao Yun'er's, most of the dishes were better than those in restaurants. It was because of this that this chef was very famous in the nearby villages. Zhao Yun'er's family specially added money to let this chef cancel other appointments and come over to cook for Zhao Yun'er's family. Zhao Wenhua greeted the guests, while the chef was already busy in the kitchen. Not long after, there was a burst of fragrance coming from the kitchen. The people who came to attend the banquet sat at the table one by one and prepared to eat. After Anil confirmed that the wedding procession had left, he came out of Zhao Yun'er's backyard and came to the front yard. After a busy morning, his stomach was already growling with hunger. When he was tempted by the fragrance of the dishes, he could not help but swallow his saliva. Anil walked in front of Zhao Wenhua and asked, "Uncle Zhao, can we eat now? I'm so hungry." Anil touched his flat stomach and continued, I just had a lot of diarrhea. Now I'm even hungrier." Zhao Wenhua was originally a little sad and reluctant, but after hearing Anil's words he was amused. This kid is really interesting. All he thought about was eating after he pooped. If you have something to say it directly without any hesitation. However, people from the countryside were simple and honest. He did not mind Anil's behavior. During this period of time, Anil had been staying at her house, and Zhao Wenhua had even treated Anil as her own son. "I'll ask the kitchen and get you something to eat," Zhao Wenhua said. Okay. Thank you, Uncle Zhao." Anil smiled sweetly. "You're welcome." Zhang Wenhua went to the kitchen and brought out a bowl of meat pie soup for Anil. There was a layer of green spring onions floating on top of the meat patty soup. It was fragrant and beautiful. One look at the meat patty soup and one could tell that it was extremely delicious. Anil took it and couldn't wait to eat it. Zhao Wenhua hurriedly said, "It's hot. Eat slowly, don't eat too quickly. If it burns my mouth, I won't." Anil chuckled and nodded heavily. Yes, Uncle Zhao, I understand." Then he held the bowl and picked up a piece of meat patty. He blew on it a few times and waited for it to cool down before stuffing it into his mouth. He had never eaten such a thing before. It was his first time eating it and it felt very good. He couldn't help but praise Zhao Wenhua. "Uncle Zhao, it's delicious. It's so delicious." The meat was very fresh and tender, and it was slightly smooth when it entered his mouth. His mouth was filled with the fragrance of the meat as he chewed. He was already hungry, and eating something delicious at this time made him feel indescribably satisfied. Eat slowly if it's delicious. Uncle Zhao has other things to do." Chapter 2366. Zhao Wenhua waved his hand and chuckled. It's fine. Take your time to eat. You can handle the workload at home." Anil smiled contentedly. He had food to eat and didn't have to work. He was living a blissful life. Actually, he preferred to help out more. Since he had nothing to do anyway, it would be more fun to help out. There were many people in the courtyard. Anil held his bowl and found a quiet corner to sit down and finish the bowl of meatloaf soup. After he finished eating, he still wanted more. However, he was too embarrassed to ask Zhao Wenhua for more. Anil pinched his cheeks. They had really become rounder and fatter. How long had it been since he came to Zhao Yun'er's house? All he knew was to eat and eat. All kinds of delicious food tempted him to eat a lot. How could he not gain weight if he continued eating like this? Anil was afraid that he would become a little fat pig one day and not be loved by everyone. After putting down his bowl and chopsticks, Anil realized that he couldn't find Yi Li in the entire courtyard. He asked Zhao Yun'er's family if anyone had seen Yi Li. However, none of them knew where Yi Li had gone. There were too many things to do today. Everyone's attention was on Zhao Yun'er's wedding. Now that Zhao Yun'er had been picked up by the wedding procession and they were busy preparing for the wedding, no one had the energy to care about Yi Li's whereabouts. Anil became anxious when he didn't see Yi Li. He wondered if Yi Li was so sad about Zhao Yun'er's wedding that he left the Zhao family. If he left without a word, no one would know about it. Would he still be able to see Yi Li in the future? After searching the entire courtyard for Yi Li to no avail, Anil suddenly felt like crying. He quickly went elsewhere. Even if Yi Li wanted to leave, he would have to take him with him. In any case, he was determined to follow him. Anil was panting as he ran around looking for Yi Li. Finally, he found Yi Li in front of a tree. At this moment, Yi Li was sitting on a tree branch. He had one hand on his leg and the other hand was holding a bottle of wine. He was slowly drinking from it. He raised his head and looked in the direction of the wedding procession, his eyes filled with deep sorrow. There was an indescribable sense of desolation in his black, gem-like pupils, which made one's heart ache. Panting, Anil ran to the tree and found Yi Li. When he saw Yi Li in such a state, he felt as though his heart was being gnawed by something. Yi Li seemed to be immersed in his own world. He didn't even look at Anil. Anil did not have the heart to disturb Yi Li. He was even more afraid that Yi Li would ignore him the moment he spoke. After taking a few deep breaths, Anil leaned against the tree trunk and sat down. Since he found Yi Li, it was good that he didn't leave. Actually, he didn't need to ask what was wrong with Yi Li to know the reason. Yi Li was so sad because of Zhao Yun'er's marriage. After living together for a while, Anil could tell that Yi Li was infatuated with Zhao Yun'er. How could a man not be sad when he saw the woman he loved marry another man? But Yi Li had no choice. Feelings could not be forced. There was nothing he could do if Zhao Yun'er chose to marry someone else. Although Anil felt that Yi Li was the best man in the world, other women did not feel the same way. Chapter 2367. But now that she saw Yi Li's heartbroken expression after Zhao Yun'er got married to another man, she felt her heart ache. It seemed like she would be happy as long as Yi Li was happy. Seeing Yi Li sad made her feel worse than anyone else. Perhaps for someone you truly like, you shouldn't pray to be with her every day. Instead, you should pray for her to be happy. As long as Yi Li was happy, he would be satisfied. Anil didn't know what to say to comfort Yi Li. She just quietly accompanied him. Perhaps silent companionship was the best choice. The courtyard of Zhao Yun'er's house was filled with villagers. The banquet started in a lively manner. Needless to say, the relatives from the Liang family came. They happened to see the scene of Zhao Yun'er getting married. Every one of them was envious. Wu Zhenju, his daughter, and Liang Jinfen weren't just envious. They were also jealous of Zhao Yun'er's good fortune. Why didn't such a good thing happen to them? Why did it happen to Zhao Yun'er's family? If it was any other banquet, they would probably fight to eat. But this time they were so upset that they couldn't even taste the food. They didn't have much of an appetite even when the table was full of good food. Wu Zhenju said to Liang Xingyue, "Why are you so useless? How can you still have the mood to eat?" Wu Zhenju said angrily when he saw Liang Xingyue burying her head and eating. Liang Xingyue looked up and said pitifully, "Mother? How am I useless when I'm just eating? For today's banquet, you specifically told me not to eat last night. Today I came over with a hungry stomach to eat more. Plus, I didn't eat in the morning, so I'm starving. Why are you scolding me when I finally get to eat something? Aren't you just picking on me for no reason?" Liang Xingyue was flustered. Originally, seeing Zhao Yun'er get married in such a beautiful and glamorous way, his heart was already uncomfortable enough. He could only use the delicacies to divert his attention and comfort his heart. In the end, her mother was good. Just because of such a simple matter, she still wanted to scold her. Wasn't she obviously trying to pick a fight? Wu Zhenju looked at Liang Xingyue in disappointment. "You're so careless. No one is like your big sister Yun'er, who married a good husband and is more enthusiastic about eating than anyone else." Liang Xingyue pulled a long face and felt even more wronged. "Mother, aren't you looking for trouble and deliberately scolding me? How is it that I'm not active just because I don't eat? Now you can find a good husband just by not eating?" Wu Zhenju said angrily, "I'm saying that you're not focusing on the right path. Shouldn't you be thinking about what you did wrong? Why didn't you find a good husband like your big sister Yun'er? Yet all she could think about was food. All you know is to eat. If you were like Yun'er, no matter how many delicacies you eat, you wouldn't be able to finish them all. What's the use of staring at the food in front of you now?" She didn't expect that Zhao Yun'er would become the current heir consort after marrying Mu Lian. That was a meteoric rise and she would become a phoenix. Not to mention that Zhao Yun'er would wear gold and silver and live the life of a rich person in the future. Even Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao would be able to enjoy life together. This was the so-called, when a man achieves the Tao, even his chickens and dogs will ascend to heaven. If Liang Xingyue could be half as capable as Zhao Yun'er and find a rich family as her mother, wouldn't she be able to bask in her glory and enjoy life for the rest of her life? Chapter 2368. If Zhao Yun'er was a good match for Mu Lianfeng, then so be it. Zhao Yun'er was just an ordinary little girl. How could she hold the prince's heart? Her daughter, Liang Xingyue, was not only prettier than Zhao Yun'er, she was also younger. Which man didn't like young and beautiful women? If Zhao Yun'er had the ability and opportunity, then her daughter had even more. It was precisely because of this comparison that Wu Zhenju was extremely dissatisfied. Today, when she saw Zhao Yun'er's family receive all the glory, her heart felt extremely stifled. In the end, she just couldn't bear to see others living better than her. Especially those who didn't live as well as her in the past. Liang Xingyue put down the chopsticks in her hand. She finally understood that her mother actually wanted to vent her anger on her. When she saw that Zhao Yun'er was marrying well, but she couldn't do it naturally, she felt unhappy. Actually, she also felt the same way. She was extremely jealous of Zhao Yun'er. But sometimes jealousy couldn't solve the problem. Just like now, she also wanted to be like Zhao Yun'er, or find a good man, and then get married grandly and beautifully. But was it easy to find a good man? Previously she had taken a fancy to Mo Yan. But now she didn't even see Mo Yan's shadow, let alone find an opportunity to cultivate feelings with Mo Yan and get together with her. Mother, if you think about it like this, whose daughter can be as capable as Sister Yun'er? If you think about it like this, they're all as useless as me. Not everyone has Sister Yun'er's luck. It's like 1 in a million. No, 1 in a million. I don't have Sister Yun'er's luck. Where can I find a good husband? Mother, if you think I'm wrong, give me an example. Liang Xingyue retorted unhappily. Her mother could lecture her, but she couldn't lecture her indiscriminately like this. She was almost at the age of marriage. She also felt very embarrassed to be scolded in front of so many people. If she explained the reason, her mother wouldn't nag anymore. After Liang Xingyue finished speaking, Guocaixia smiled and agreed. Sister-in-law, you is right. How many people can have Yunner's luck? This is fate. She was born with a good life. There's no need to compare. Don't most people have ordinary lives? How many girls from the countryside had married so well? It's still very important to be matched. We can't match those who are too rich and powerful. Besides, it's not easy for you to marry someone from our town or Yang city, let alone someone like the crown prince. Sometimes you have to be clear and don't be dreaming. Hearing Guocaishia's words, Wu Jinju's face suddenly darkened. She shouted at Guocaixia, Sister-in-law, what do you mean? Are you saying that my Yu is not good enough? No matter how much my Yu is younger and prettier than your Yu, what right do you have to criticize my Yu? Guocaixia sneered, Sister-in-law, that's not what I meant. I just wanted to tell you not to daydream sometimes. Although my Zier's looks are not as good as yours, I'm not daydreaming. I didn't think that my Zier would be able to match up to someone like Lord Shitzi like Yun. That's right. Sister-in-law, I've already told you before. Don't always talk about Yuer's looks and age. She's better than my Zier in this aspect, but it's difficult for her to find a husband after her engagement was broken off. Chapter 2369. When Wu Jinju heard this, he was so angry that he almost started a fight with Guocaixia. Liang Xinyue's broken engagement was a pain in her heart, but Guocaixia liked to expose her scars and poke at her shortcomings. How could she not be angry? Sister-in-law, you're too mean. Can't you bear to see Yuer get married? You hope that she can't marry into a good family. You're Yuer's aunt. Wu Jinju slammed the table and pointed at Guocaixia as he scolded. Guocaixia sneered and curled her lips. She replied, Second sister-in-law, look at what you're saying. What do you mean I hope not? I'm just telling you the truth. Look at your reaction. Aren't you also Z's aunt? Every day when you talk about how my Zier can't do this or that, can't I say a few words about your Yuer? You. Seeing that Wu Jinju and Guocaixia were about to fight, old Madame Liang was very angry. All you know is to quarrel. Both of you shut up. Today is Yunner's wedding day. If you want to embarrass yourself, go back home. Don't drag your eldest sister's family down with you. Old Madame Liang's face was gloomy. It was obvious that she was really angry. Wu Jinju and Guocaixia finally restrained themselves and stopped making a fuss. Compared to Wu Jinju's anger, Guocaixia was much calmer. She felt a lot better after teasing her. Who asked this second sister-in-law of hers not to have a little self-awareness? How could she not know what kind of person her daughter was? She was actually so confident that Liang Xinyue could find a good husband. In her opinion, if Liang Xinyue could find her Zier, it would be even more so. Liang Xinyue lowered her head and continued to eat, but she didn't feel as good as before. Her mother had overestimated her, while her aunt had underestimated her. Either way, it wasn't good. Sigh. Actually, she didn't want to marry a rich man as long as it wasn't one of those country bumpkins. It was one thing for them to be poor, but the most important thing was that they were ugly. As long as they were half as handsome and half as mighty as Mo Yen, she would probably be willing. Sigh. She really couldn't compare. After comparing, she despised everyone. Even if she didn't want to marry, she wouldn't casually marry a country bumpkin. The originally lively banquet became a little dull under the Liang family's strange occasion. Zhao Yunner's family didn't care about the feelings of the family Qin people and continued to host the banquet. Under the cooking of the chef, the banquet was completed successfully. After that, the people in the village gathered together for a while and then left. At this moment, Yi Li, who was sitting on the tree, had already finished the entire pot of wine. There was no more wine in the cup, so Yi Li could only put down the wine pot. Seeing that Anil remained silent under the tree and didn't say a word, Yi Li raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, It's already so late, why aren't you going back? Aren't you hungry if you don't eat? When Anil saw that Yi Li actually took the initiative to talk to her, and even seemed to care about her, she was instantly excited. She immediately said to Yi Li, Are you concerned about me? Yi Li's lips curved into a cold smile. You're overthinking it. Why should I care about you? I just don't understand why you're doing all these useless and meaningless things in front of me. Chapter 2370. Yi Li lowered his head and glanced at Anil. There was a glimmer of light in his dark pupils, shining like stars. It was strangely attractive. Looking at his fair face, it revealed a touch of innocence, especially when he pouted and puffed up his cheeks. Yi Li thought to himself that he must be crazy. How could he think that a sissy was so pure and cute? Sigh. Could it be that he had gone mad? Yi Li choked, but the corners of his mouth continued to curl up. He calmly replied, "You can follow me if you want, but I have to go now." With that, Yi Li tapped his toes and jumped down from the tree. His qigong was very good, so when he jumped down from the tree, it felt like he was floating. Looking at Yi Li's tall and handsome back, Anil was once again mesmerized by Yi Li. Why was this man so handsome when he was depressed? How could there be such a stunner in this world? However, his infatuation only lasted for a few seconds. Anil quickly regained his senses and got up from the ground to follow Yi Li. "Yi Li, where are you going? Aren't you going to keep watching over me?" "I'm watching over you, not the tree. I'll go wherever you go." Anil replied angrily. Yi Li frowned slightly and said unhappily, "Don't follow me." He wanted to find a quiet place to be alone. What was a sissy following behind him? Anil pursed his lips and said unhappily, "Why? You're annoying. I don't like people annoying me," Yi Li said mercilessly. Anil's heart felt like it had been pierced by something. It hurt so much. He tried to take a deep breath and braced himself to say, "I just want to follow you. I didn't say anything. What right do you have to say that I'm annoying?" Yi Li looked at Anil's angry face and didn't know what to say for a moment. This sissy is so wishy-washy. Sigh. Annoying. But for some reason Yi Li didn't find Anil as annoying as before. He must be crazy. "Don't waste your time on me," Yi Li reminded. A straight man like him would definitely not like a man. If a woman persevered, it would still be meaningful. But a man. Could it be that she was hoping to turn him gay? What a fool's dream. "I'm spending my time, not yours." "It's none of your business," Anil said stubbornly. Once he set his mind on something, he would not give up easily. This was even more true for the person he liked. It wasn't easy for him to meet Yi Li, so how could he let go of this opportunity? Yi Li turned around and ignored Anil. Instead he walked forward. Anil hurried to catch up with him. He stared at Yi Li's back and swore to himself that he would wait until the moment Yi Li accepted him. Although this dream was a little far away, only by persevering would there be a chance and possibility. If he chose to give up now, then there would be no more chances in the future. He didn't ask for anything else. He just wanted to be by Yi Li's side. As long as he could see Yi Li, that would be enough. And Li didn't know when he started to know how to be satisfied. He had many things in the past, but he had never cherished them as much as he did now. By the time Yi Li returned to Zhao Yun'er's courtyard, the banquet had already ended and the courtyard was much quieter. Chapter 2371. Yi Li smiled and replied, "Uncle Zhao, I just went out for a walk. I didn't go anywhere." Zhao Wenhua hurriedly said, "Young Master Yi, you haven't eaten anything yet. You must be hungry, right? Quickly sit down and eat something." "Okay." Seeing Zhao Wenhua's concern for him, Yi Li's heart warmed. This kind of feeling was like family. During the time he stayed at Zhao Yun'er's house, Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao had already treated him as family. There were many dishes left at the banquet that were not eaten, including some unsavory meat. Zhao Wenhua asked Yi Li what he wanted to eat. Yi Li smiled and replied that Zhao Wenhua could make anything as long as it could fill his stomach. Yi Li was not a picky eater. Zhao Wenhua made a bowl of chicken soup with some chicken in it. He handed it to Yi Li and said, "Young Master Yi, have some chicken soup and eat some chicken. I'll make some dishes for you." "Thank you, Uncle Zhao." "Haha, you're welcome. We're family. Don't be so distant." Zhao Wenhua smiled and waved his hand. He went into the kitchen and took out a bowl. He took some of every dish. This way Yi Li could have a taste. Fortunately, the weather had cooled down. Even if these dishes could not be finished, it would not be a problem to leave them out for a day or two. Anil stood not far away and observed Yi Li's attitude and reaction. As a result, he found that Yi Li seemed to be polite and nice to everyone, but she was cold to him. Anil thought about it carefully and felt that he did not do anything wrong. What did he do that made Yi Li dislike him so much? Zhao Wenhua had just brought out a bowl of food when Hua Chunhua walked over to Zhao Wenhua and ordered, "Third brother, there should be some leftovers from the banquet at your house. There should be a lot of food left, right? Hurry up and get me some. Your little sister wants to eat it. Her body is weak. You have to get her something good to nourish her body." Today was the third branch's wedding. Everyone in old Zhao's family came to attend the wedding, except for Zhao Xinhui. It wasn't that Zhao Xinhui didn't want to join in the fun and eat good food, but he had no choice. Now, Zhao Xinhui couldn't even move from his bed, let alone get out of bed to attend the banquet. Hua Chunhua did not ask for anything else. After all, she was already very happy that Zhao Xinhui could keep his life. As long as he was alive he could slowly prepare for the future. Zhao Xinhui could slowly recuperate and there would be a time when he would recover. Zhao Wenhua nodded and replied, "Okay Mom, I'll go now." "Father, don't give it to her." Zhao Ping'er walked out angrily and stopped Zhao Wenhua. It was fine if he gave it to others, but he wasn't willing to give it to his little aunt. It was because Zhao Xinhui caused her older brother Yuan to be in this state. How could he give Zhao Xinhui good food? "You wretched lass, what are you saying?" Hua Chunhua was also angry. She glared at Zhao Ping'er and retorted, "I said I'm not giving it to my little aunt. Grandmother, why should we give you our third branch's food? Do you think you can have it just because you want it?" Zhao Ping'er wasn't afraid of Hua Chunhua and directly retorted. Hua Chunhua rolled up her sleeves and walked in front of Zhao Ping'er, wanting to hit Zhao Ping'er. This wretched lass was too much. Her daughter's injuries were so serious that she almost lost her life, and it had a lot to do with this wretched lass. Back then, if she didn't slander Zhao Xinhui in front of the county magistrate, Zhao Xinhui might not have said that she would be punished so severely, and she wouldn't have almost lost her life. Chapter 2372. You wretched lass, you're such a busybody. Since when did a married daughter like you have the right to make decisions in the third branch? Your youngest aunt is your father's younger sister, so why can't you give her some food? You've already become someone else's daughter-in-law, yet you still want to interfere with family matters. As Hua Chunhua spoke, she stretched out her jet-black claws and almost scratched Zhao Ping'er's face. Zhao Wenhua hurriedly stepped forward and stood between Zhao Ping'er and Hua Chunhua. He mediated, all right, mother. Don't bicker with that last Ping'er. I'll go get some food for my younger sister." "Father." Zhao Ping'er's face was filled with unhappiness as she pulled on Zhao Yunlong's sleeve. Zhao Wenhua gave Zhao Ping'er a look. "Lass, behave yourself. She's your grandmother. No matter what, she's still your youngest aunt. Don't be willful." "Father," Hua Chunhua pursed her lips. "Third son, it's not that I want to nag at you, but you have to discipline your daughter properly. Otherwise she'll take advantage of you and not know the rules at all." "Mother, I understand. I'll educate that last Ping'er more in the future. It's good that you understand." Zhao Ping'er still wanted to say something, but Zhao Wenhua was really a little angry at this time. He gave Zhao Ping'er another look. Only then did she reluctantly stop. Zhao Wenhua sighed heavily. Clearly today was very lively and happy, but some people and things just had to come out and ruin their mood. Zhao Wenhua only hoped that everything would go smoothly on Zhao Yun'er's side. It didn't matter if he caused more trouble on his side. At this time, the wedding procession had already arrived at Yang City. Because everyone was walking, their movements were a little slow. It wasn't as fast as Zhao Yun'er's usual horse carriage or donkey cart. At this time, the Crown Prince's residence was decorated with red silk and satin, and it was indescribably lively. Because it was the Crown Prince's wedding, almost all the influential people in Sun City attended the banquet. This included many squires and the deputy district magistrate. When the guests who came to attend the wedding saw the procession, they immediately became excited. "The bride is here. The bride is here." When Zhao Yun'er heard this figure, she knew that they had arrived at the Shitzi estate. She couldn't help but feel excited. The procession finally stopped at the entrance of the Shitzi Fu. Mu Lianfeng dismounted from his horse first, and then the matchmaker helped Zhao Yun'er over the brazier. Finally, they were led into the bridal chamber that the Shitzi Fu had prepared for them. After arriving at the room, Zhao Yun'er was left hanging while Mu Lianfeng went out to socialize. Later on, the heir apparent's residence also had to prepare a banquet. As the bridegroom, Mu Lianfeng naturally had to accompany them to drink. It was only noon, and they had to wait until night time. Zhao Yun'er felt very bored when she thought that there was still so much time left. Fortunately, the wedding was only for one day. Although she didn't have to do anything, she strangely felt very tired. Fortunately, before getting married, Zhao Yun'er ate a lot based on her experience. Now, she even secretly stuffed a few pieces of pastries into her sleeves. Even if she waited until night time, she wouldn't be very hungry. However, it didn't feel good to be alone in the room and wait for half a day. The room was quiet, but Zhao Yun'er could feel the festive atmosphere in the Shitzi estate. Because it was a rare occasion for the Crown Prince to get married, even the servants in the Crown Prince's residence were especially excited. They were busy and didn't stop for a moment. Chapter 2373. Zhao Yun'er quickly sat up and tidied up her clothes. The red veil on her head was still intact and did not fall off. As soon as Mu Lianfeng walked into the bridal chamber, the air was immediately filled with the smell of alcohol. Although Mu Lianfeng had lost a lot of alcohol today, his mind was still clear. He saw Zhao Yun sitting in front of the bed and walked toward Zhao Yun. Yun Mu Lianfeng murmured. His Yun had finally become his wife today. At this moment he experienced a happiness that he had never felt before. Zhao Yun responded. Mu Lianfeng walked toward the bed and lifted Zhao Yun's red veil. The two of them were not really newlyweds. Unlike other people in this era, they lived together every day before they got married and were very familiar with each other. After lifting the red veil, Zhao Yun and Mu Lianfeng's eyes met. Zhao Yun was dressed in a red wedding dress and dressed up meticulously. In Mu Lianfeng's eyes, Zhao Yun looked indescribably delicate and charming today. Mu Lianfeng was already handsome to begin with. Coupled with the fact that he was getting married today, he was in high spirits and looked even more handsome and elegant. Yun, you're so beautiful today. After Mu Lianfeng praised her, he hugged Zhao Yun's waist and couldn't wait to kiss his bride. Because they hadn't seen each other for a while, Mu Lianfeng missed Zhao Yun indescribably. It was said that absence made the heart grow fonder. After being separated for a few days, his mind was filled with Zhao Yun's figure. After waiting for so long, Zhao Yun was finally here. Mu Lianfeng couldn't imagine if he left Yang City and Zhao Yun for a little longer. Would he get lovesick? Zhao Yun's mouth was suddenly blocked. The smell of Mu Lianfeng's alcohol filled her entire mouth. Zhao Yun pushed Mu Lianfeng out. Cover. She felt that this guy would eat her up. He came aggressively and grabbed her head. He was very domineering. After pushing for a while, she couldn't push Mu Lianfeng away. Zhao Yun pouted aggrievedly. This guy only knew how to bully people. Sigh. After enduring Mu Lianfeng's wanton behavior, Mu Lianfeng let go of her after a while. And Zhao Yun had already been instigated to have some desire. Her body and cheeks were red as she waited for Mu Lianfeng's next move. However, after kissing her wildly, Mu Lianfeng pecked her on the forehead. Then he stared at her as if he couldn't get enough of her. Zhao Yun also looked at Mu Lianfeng. This man's eyes were surprisingly beautiful and a little bright. And looking at her affectionately gave her a different feeling. Oh, aren't we going to continue? Zhao Yun asked weakly. Continue what? Mu Lianfeng raised his eyebrows and asked. Zhao Yun pouted. This guy must be doing it on purpose. Of course, we're going to consummate our marriage. After saying that, Zhao Yun's cheeks turned even redder. Wouldn't it be shameless of her to take the initiative to court him? When she was doing that with Mu Lianfeng, it had always been Mu Lianfeng who took the initiative. As a woman, Zhao Yun felt that it was too shy of her to take the initiative. Mu Lianfeng's lips curled up slightly as if he was smiling. Zhao Yun wondered if this guy was mocking her. Chapter 2374. Mu Lianfeng whispered gently in Zhao Yun's ear. In fact, compared to Zhao Yun, he couldn't wait to have her. He wanted to have sex with her and release the longing that he had been suppressing these days. However, he had to control himself when he wanted Zhao Yun because he had to consider Zhao Yun. It was not easy for Zhao Yun to marry him. If he woke up too late tomorrow, he wouldn't even have time to serve tea. He was afraid that not only old Madame Mu, but also the whole Shitzi mansion would have a problem with Zhao Yun. The worst thing about a rich family was that they had too many rules. They were not as honest as the villagers. Once he and Zhao Yun consummated their marriage and aroused that kind of desire, he was afraid that he wouldn't have enough. After a night of torment, how could Zhao Yun have the strength to get up the next day? So, he had to endure it today. After he followed the rules, he would get it back from Zhao Yun tomorrow night. Zhao Yun was suddenly embarrassed. Then, let's sleep. Although she still couldn't help it, Zhao Yun felt that Mu Lianfeng was more reasonable. She had to get up early tomorrow to serve tea. She wasn't afraid of old Madame Mu, but she wanted to follow the rules thoroughly. At least, old Madame Mu wouldn't have an excuse to find fault with her. Okay. Go and wash up first. Okay. She had heavy makeup on her face, so she had to wash it first. After a good night's sleep, Zhao Yun woke up early the next morning. According to the rules, she served tea to old Madame Mu. Zhao Yun was worried that old Madame Mu would give her a hard time. To Zhao Yun's surprise, old Madame Mu didn't make things difficult for her this time. Zhao Yun was really surprised. Could it be that old Madame Mu had sincerely accepted her? Although she had doubts in her heart, seeing that old Madame Mu didn't find fault with her, it was better than before. The servants of the Crown Prince's residence were quite courteous to her. After all, she was now married to Mu Lianfeng, and it was under the auspices of the emperor. No matter how much the servants looked down on Zhao Yun'er's identity as an ordinary citizen, they didn't dare to say anything. They didn't dare to be disrespectful to Zhao Yun'er. Otherwise, if they were investigated, they wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. After the wedding, Zhao Yun'er stayed in the Shitzi manor for 2 days. She really couldn't stand the strict lifestyle of a rich family. She was much more comfortable in the countryside. Every day she would chat and laugh with her relatives. Although there might be more weirdos in the village, she still felt that the countryside was better. How could Mu Lianfeng not see Zhao Yun'er's discomfort? He decided to take Zhao Yun'er back to the countryside. He was going to leave Yang City soon. During this period of time, he asked Zhao Yun'er to stay at his house. Although the crown prince's residence was good, it was not as comfortable as living in the countryside. He only hoped that Zhao Yun'er could live comfortably. It didn't matter even if she wasn't in the Shitzi manor. If Zhao Yun'er still wanted to stay at home in the future, then he would accompany her. Compared to the Shitzi manor, Mu Lianfeng also preferred Shuilan village. Staying at Zhao Yun'er's house made him feel at home. As for the Shitzi manor, it was much more desolate. In the Shitzi manor, except for old Madame Mu, everyone else was a servant to Mu Lianfeng. And the servants were too formal with him. Due to etiquette, there wasn't a natural and relaxed feeling when interacting with him. It was different when he was with Zhao Yun'er's family. The family was harmonious and beautiful. It was simple but happy. Chapter 2375. The emperor was also with them. The emperor was going back to the palace in a few days. A few days before he went back, he thought about going to the countryside to play again. If he went back to the palace, he would not be able to experience the happiness of the people in the countryside. Without the restrictions of the Shitzi mansion, Zhao Yun'er lived a much more comfortable life. Sure enough, she was used to being free in the 21st century. She was not used to the rules of those rich families. Fortunately, she did not have to live in the Shitzi mansion for a long time. Otherwise, she felt that she might not be able to stand it. Back in Shuilan village, the air seemed to have become a lot fresher. The carriage stopped in the courtyard of Zhao Yun'er's house. This time it was also a return to the family. Old Madame Mu was not stingy. She bought many gifts for Zhao Yun'er and brought them back to her parents' house. Zhao Yun'er's family had already eaten breakfast. In the morning, Yili helped Zhao Yun'er's family chop wood in the courtyard. Chopping wood was a physical work. Yili felt that his physical strength was much stronger than Zhao Wenhua's. Moreover, Zhao Wenhua was old and his waist was not very good. Naturally, he would do this kind of work. Since he was at Zhao Yun'er's house and had nothing to do, he would do his best where he could. What he could do now was to share the worries of Zhao Yun'er's family. Also, after living in Zhao Yun'er's house for so long, the third branch's family had been good to him. Naturally, he should repay their kindness and not be lazy at home and do nothing. For Yi Li, who had been practicing martial arts for a long time, chopping wood was too easy. He raised his axe and swung it down, splitting the wood into 2 halves. Anil watched from the side with a look of obsession. He did not know why, but he felt that Yi Li's appearance when chopping wood was particularly handsome. He always felt that he had an inexhaustible strength. Men should be like this. He was not interested in those who were like Sissy. Although they were handsome, they were as weak as women. Yi Li chopped the firewood while Anil sat in front of the table, propping up his chin with one hand and staring at Yi Li. If this had happened in the past, Yi Li probably wouldn't have been able to accept it. But now that he was used to it, he didn't think much of it. If he wants to look, then let him look. He can just pretend that he doesn't know. Anyway, Anil wouldn't pay attention to her even if she asked Anil not to look at her. When Zhao Yun'er's carriage stopped in the courtyard, Anil and Yi Li both looked towards the carriage. They knew that Zhao Yun'er had returned. Yi Li wiped a thin layer of sweat on her forehead. There was a touch of expectation in her eyes. He hadn't seen Zhao Yun'er for a few days and he missed her a little. Now that he saw Zhao Yun'er's familiar figure, he was a little excited. When Anil saw Yi Li's reaction, he knew that Yi Li was always thinking about Zhao Yun'er. He was sad, but he was also happy for Yi Li. In fact, as long as Yi Li was happy, he was happy. Even if he knew that Yi Li was happy because of another woman. However, the figure that came out of the carriage stunned Anil. It was an extremely familiar figure wearing bright yellow clothes. Anil was so scared that he quickly turned his head and wanted to escape. Unfortunately, it was too late. He had been caught by that person. Stop! The emperor roared with a slightly dignified voice. And Lu immediately stopped in his tracks. His brows furrowed together as he turned his head away reluctantly. Hee hee. Anil smiled at the emperor, but his smile was a little stubborn. The emperor walked in front of Anil and carefully sized up Anil. His expression was very serious. Chapter 2376. Enli's face was filled with smiles as he tried to curry favor. Tell me, how did you come here after a long journey? Who gave you the courage to come here? The emperor raised his eyebrows and continued to question him. Anil's expression became more colorful. He didn't know what to say with a crying face. Why was he so unlucky? He thought that he would be fine after escaping last time. Who knew that the emperor would come again? If he had known that the emperor would come, he would have quickly hidden. He wouldn't have been caught red-handed. Unfortunately, it was useless to say anything now because he had already been caught. Didn't I think that it was too boring at home? You can come out for a walk, why can't I? I also want to play out. After coming out, I realized how good it is outside and how carefree it is here. Anil said aggrievedly. He had been cooped up in that courtyard deep in the palace. He was probably bored like a canary. Now, he really experienced a sense of happiness that he had never felt before. If he hadn't come out, how could he have known about the carefree days outside? You're so carefree. Aren't you afraid that your mother will be worried after coming out? The emperor glared at Anil. She won't be worried about me. She will only force me to do things that I don't like. Anil complained again. You're becoming more and more undisciplined and out of control. The emperor poked Anil's head a few times with his finger. After being scolded by the emperor, Anil pulled the emperor's sleeve and said aggrievedly, How am I undisciplined and out of control? I'm just bored out of my mind. Oh, don't argue with me, okay? All right. Don't say any more. It's not convenient to say it here. The emperor cleared his throat. Because he couldn't let Zhao Yun'er's family know his identity, it was naturally inconvenient to say some things. The fact that the emperor and Anil knew each other was out of Zhao Yun'er's expectations. She knew that Anil's identity wasn't simple from the way he dressed. However, she didn't associate Anil with the emperor. Since he was so familiar with Emperor Huang, it meant that Anil should be a relative of the emperor. TSK. This identity wasn't simple. Zhao Yun'er didn't know what kind of charm or secret attraction her family had that attracted these people with unusual identities to come here. You know each other? Zhao Yun'er smiled. The emperor also turned to smile and answer, Yes, this is my family's little brother. Haha, what a coincidence. Zhao Yun'er said. The emperor's little brother? That must be a prince. This identity was indeed not simple. No wonder Enlu could be so rich when he spent money previously. With her brother, the emperor, she could have as much money as she wanted. Enlu also grinned. That's right. Miss Yun, this is my big brother. I didn't expect you to know him. Looks like we're fated to meet. Haha, sometimes fate is really wonderful. Hee Miss Yun, if I had known that you and my big brother knew each other, I would have come earlier. I wouldn't have waited until now. After Anil finished speaking, the emperor knocked on Anil's head. What? Don't you feel that you're causing trouble for others? How could I? Anil muttered unhappily. He said it as if he was a troublemaker. Chapter 2377. He was used to being pampered and spoiled. When had he ever done such menial work? Thus, Anil felt that he was already very good at coming to Zhao Yun'er's house to do these things. Unfortunately, his imperial brother still felt that he was causing trouble for her. Perhaps in his imperial brother's eyes, he was someone who didn't do proper work. The emperor turned to Zhao Yun'er and said apologetically, Miss Yun'er, I didn't know that this fellow actually snuck out from home. He's caused trouble for Miss Yun'er's family these days. I'll bring him back when I go back in a few days. When Madame Min heard this, she immediately became anxious. Brother, I don't want to go back. What nonsense are you talking about? Don't tell me you want to stay in someone else's house for the rest of your life? Stay in the countryside for the rest of your life? You have to be clear about your status. The emperor's expression became serious again, as if there was no room for negotiation. Anil tugged at the emperor's arm and said coquettishly, Brother, I really don't want to go back. It's not as fun at home as here. It's so nice here. I'm very safe here. Brother, please let me stay, I beg of you. I like it here. I want to stay here. I said no means no. There's no room for discussion. You actually snuck out this time. It's good enough that I didn't settle the score with you. You're still pushing your luck. The emperor snorted coldly. Anil pursed his lips and looked at the emperor with a hint of hidden bitterness. You're a bad person. I'm ignoring you. Anil angrily ran away as he spoke. Stop right there. The emperor was also a little angry. He was spoiled and used to being willful. That was why he was somewhat undisciplined. If he continued to be willful, who knew what would happen to him? No. Anil stubbornly refused. He continued to run forward, crying as he ran. When Zhao Yuner saw Anil's appearance, she felt some sympathy for Anil. Sigh, perhaps many people didn't like living in the imperial palace. How could they be as comfortable as living in her home? No wonder Anil wanted to stay in her home. She wouldn't even be willing to go back to the Z residence, let alone a place like the imperial palace. The emperor looked at Anil's fleeing figure and sighed helplessly. Sigh. Then he smiled at Zhao Yuner and Mu Lianfeng and said, sorry for making a fool of myself. He's used to it. It's fine. Let's go inside and have a seat, Mu Lianfeng said. It was indeed tiring to rush back, so there was no need to continue standing. The emperor nodded and followed Zhao Yuner into the room. After resting for a while at Zhao Yuner's house, Yili was not affected and continued to chop wood. When Anil was around, it was Anil who stared at Yili. Now that Anil had left, the emperor sat in front of the table and watched Yili chop wood. Yili felt very upset. This pair of brothers was really interesting. It was one thing for Anil to stare at him non-stop, but why did an older brother also stare at him non-stop? What was there to look at for a man like him? Why did a man have to stare at another man? He didn't understand. These two brothers must have some special fetishes, but he just couldn't accept such fetishes. Yili could only comfort himself and pretend that he didn't know. In any case, it wasn't the first time he was stared at. Zhao Yuner was preparing to go to the kitchen to cook when she saw the emperor looking at Yili with a scorching and suspicious gaze. She couldn't help imagining a rotten scene. She couldn't be blamed for thinking too much. The emperor was really too concerned about Yili. Chapter 2378. It was a good thing that Yili was skilled in martial arts and could protect himself well. Otherwise, in the 21st century, people would really start to plot against him. Ahem, young Master Huang, is there anything you want to eat for lunch? Zhao Yuner walked in front of the emperor and asked. After all, the emperor wouldn't be staying at her house for long, so she had to take care of him as much as possible. The emperor snapped out of his daze and smiled at Zhao Yuner. Miss Yuner, just make a few simple home-cooked dishes. I can eat them all. Zhao Yuner nodded. All right. I'll just make a few simple dishes. There were quite a few home-cooked dishes such as shredded pork with green peppers, hot and sour shredded potatoes, garlic eggplant. These dishes tasted pretty good, so the emperor would definitely like them. I'll have to trouble Miss Yuner? The emperor smiled. Just as Zhao Yuner was about to enter the kitchen to cook, the emperor spoke again. This young Master Ye's martial arts are pretty good. And he's vigorous and powerful. He's a talent. When Zhao Yuner heard this, she smiled and said, that's right, Yili's martial arts are indeed pretty good. But why did she feel that the emperor's words sounded a little strange? It was because the emperor admired Yili that Zhao Yuner felt strange. Could it be that the emperor admired Yili's talent so much that he liked Yili so much? If that was the case, then it was fine. As long as the emperor didn't fancy Yili's face, then it was fine. After the emperor finished speaking, he inwardly shook his head. Ai, it's such a pity. Such a talent is actually willing to stay in this mountain village and chop wood. It's such a waste of talent. The emperor had a regretful expression on his face. The corner of Zhao Yuner's mouth twitched. Was the emperor feeling sorry for Yili? She had thought that the emperor had other thoughts towards Yili, but now it seemed that the emperor only admired Yili's talent. He felt that it was a pity that Yili could not use his skills in her family. However, everyone had their own goals. Zhao Yuner knew that Yili wasn't an ambitious person. All he wanted was an ordinary life. As for saying that his abilities were wasted, in fact, different personal evaluations would lead to different conclusions. The so-called waste was relative to the national level. The emperor was the one in power, so he naturally wanted people like Yili to serve the country. As for Zhao Yuner, Yili was her friend. It wasn't important whether Yili could do something earth-shattering. What was important was whether Yili was happy. As long as Yili felt that this was the best way of life for him and that he could always be happy, then that was the best. In response to the emperor's words, Zhao Yuner only smiled and did not respond. Zhao Yuner walked into the kitchen and started cooking. The emperor continued to stare at Yili. After Yili finished chopping wood, the emperor called out to Yili, "Young hero Yi, come and sit." Yili glanced at the emperor indifferently. He felt that the emperor was a little too concerned and harbored ill intentions. So he ignored the emperor and glanced at him indifferently. What do you want? Young hero Yi, I think we can talk, the emperor said with a smile. Yi Li proudly raised his chin and replied, we have nothing to talk about. After speaking, Yi Li turned and went into the kitchen. He fetched a basin of water and washed his body. His body was covered in sweat from chopping wood just now. It was very uncomfortable when the sweat stuck together. He would only feel comfortable after washing his body. Chapter 2379. He took a towel and wiped himself. Because his back was also soaked in sweat, he took off his jacket. After taking off his jacket, his powerful muscles were revealed. Yi Li's muscles were not like those of overly muscular fitness trainers. This kind of muscular figure gave people a sense of strength, but it did not feel too excessive. The people in the courtyard also saw Yi Li's appearance when he took off his jacket. Actually, it was very common for people in the countryside to be topless. This was because the men in the countryside looked like this when they went to work in the fields. They did not feel embarrassed to be topless. When it was time for lunch, Anil was hungry, so he came back helplessly. He wanted to have some backbone, but unfortunately backbone could not be eaten. His stomach was growling from hunger. He was the one suffering, not his imperial brother. It was not worthwhile for him to do this for his imperial brother. Sigh. Anil sighed heavily. In the end, it was because he was not capable enough. Otherwise, he would have known how to take charge of his own life. When he came back, he saw Yi Li bathing in the courtyard. That muscular figure was exposed to the air, and he almost vomited blood. He knew that Yi Li had a good figure, but he did not expect Yi Li's figure to be so good. His gaze landed on Yi Li, and for a moment he could not look away. He was so excited that he almost vomited blood, but he could not help but continue to look. He kept screaming in his heart, damn, damn, damn. This scene was really explosive. It would be fine if it was someone else, but it just had to be Yi Li, the person he loved the most. How could he not have some thoughts when he saw him topless? Not far away, the emperor saw this scene and was a little angry. He quickly walked forward and blocked in front of Anil. He covered Anil's eyes and whispered in Anil's ear, damn girl, shameless. What are you looking at? Imperial brother? Anil, who was blindfolded, could not do it. He quickly pushed the emperor away. You're still looking? You've only been out for a few days. Have you forgotten all the etiquette and shame you've learned before? The emperor asked in a serious tone. I didn't. I just looked at it by accident. Seriously. Anil pouted unhappily. You still dare to say that? I'll teach you a lesson when we get back. I'm not going back. I want to stay here. Anlu still said with some firmness. Stay here? Hee. Wicked girl, was it because of Yi Li? I see that the way you look at him is a bit different. The emperor's eyes were somewhat sizing him up. He narrowed his eyes and stared at Anlu. Anil felt a little guilty and replied stubbornly, No. No. Of course not. Damn girl, don't I know you well enough? What can you hide from me? The corners of the emperor's mouth curled up as if he had seen through Anil. Anil felt hurt. Her imperial brother was really bullying her. He wanted her to go back, saw through her thoughts and mercilessly exposed her. He did not give her any face at all. So what if it is? I like Yi Li. I like him. So what? He's handsome and capable. It's normal to admire him, right? Brother, I won't go back. I won't let you and Imperial Mother arrange my marriage. Chapter 2380. Anil said with a stubborn expression. Before she met Anlu, she simply didn't want to marry someone she didn't like. But now she met Yi Li. She was determined to marry Yi Li even if she had to marry in the future. She was used to being thick-skinned, so she wasn't embarrassed to say this in front of the emperor. The emperor frowned. Anil, don't forget that you're a princess. With your status, your marriage isn't something you can decide. Your husband, the future prince consort, was carefully selected by Imperial Mother for you. They are all giants among men. Your status is only worthy of the best. How could a country bumpkin like Yi Li not be worthy of your status? What's wrong with Yi Li? I think Yi Li is pretty good. How could a normal country bumpkin compare to him? Anil couldn't help but defend Yi Li. She never felt that the status of a princess was very noble. If this status was a reason to bind her, then she would rather not have this status. Forget about whether Yi Li was worthy of her. As long as Yi Li could accept her, she would rather abandon everything and be with Yi Li. He's nothing, how can he not be a country bumpkin? Alright, stop being so willful. Your parents' orders and matchmaker's words are not for you to mess around with. Imperial older brother? You're my good imperial older brother, please help me. Anil immediately put on a pitiful expression and looked at the emperor with pleading eyes. Help you. And Lu, it's not like you don't know. Although Zhen is the monarch of a country and can make a lot of decisions, I can't control Imperial Mother's affairs. What Imperial Mother wants to do is her own decision. How can I dare to intervene? The emperor mercilessly refused. Anil pursed her lips and her face was full of grievance. If even her imperial older brother couldn't do anything, then it was even more impossible for Imperial Mother. Then there would be no chance between her and Yi Li. Royal brother. Why don't you give Yi Li an official position? As long as you say it, it's not a big deal. And Lu looked at the emperor and begged. An official position? How high was his rank? If he didn't do anything, it would be unreasonable for us to suddenly bestow him a high official position, and it would be inevitable that others would have opinions. But if it was just a small official position, it wouldn't have any effect. Can Imperial Mother take a fancy to someone with a small official position? Although what the emperor said was true, it was another thing to hear the emperor say the truth. Anil's face was gloomy and unhappy. He did not know what to do. However, but what? Anil asked anxiously. However, I feel that this young Master Yi is quite capable. If he can serve the country, he will definitely achieve great things. If he can do something, it won't be difficult for me to slowly promote him. Hearing the emperor's words, Anil's heart was filled with hope again. That's right, that's right. Imperial older brother, young Master Ye's martial arts are very powerful. If Imperial older brother can make him serve the court, he will definitely be able to achieve great things. Anil began to look forward to it. People like Yi Li should not be ordinary. He hoped that his Imperial older brother could really use Yi Li. His Imperial older brother helplessly curled his lips, but young Master Yi doesn't have that intention. If he is willing, we would be happy to use such a talent. Chapter 2381. The Emperor pondered for a moment and felt that Anil's words made some sense. It would be a pity not to make use of a talent like Yi Li. It seemed that he had to properly persuade Yi Li while he was at Zhao Yun'er's house and make Yi Li willing to work for the court. Anil, if this Yi Gongzi agrees with us, then you have to come back with us. Don't wander around outside. It's not like the palace outside. You're just lucky that you didn't meet any bad people. The Emperor warned. Anil nodded heavily. Of course, Imperial brother. If Yi Gongzi can serve the country and become a high official, then I can marry him. I'll listen to everything Imperial brother says. Alright. In the next few days, the Emperor did his best to persuade Yi Li while he was at Zhao Yun'er's house. He wanted Yi Li to accept him and serve the court. Although Yi Li was a bit surprised when he found out about the Emperor's identity, he quickly recovered and put on his usual aloof attitude. He didn't care about the Emperor's identity at all. If it was anyone else, they probably wouldn't have the guts. However, Yi Li was like a proud little prince. In Yi Li's opinion, the court's matters had nothing to do with him. He didn't care about the court or the country. As long as he was happy and comfortable, that was the most important thing. However, from the conversation between Zhao Yun'er, the emperor, and Mu Lianfeng, he found out that Mu Lianfeng was going to the border. This meant that Mu Lianfeng would be away from Zhao Yun'er for a while. This wasn't the most important thing. What Yi Li was worried about was that the matter Mu Lianfeng was dealing with this time might be more troublesome. He didn't know how long it would take. If Mu Lianfeng couldn't come back for a long time, Zhao Yun'er would miss him very much. If she were to encounter any danger again, Zhao Yun'er would be worried all day long. For Yi Li, he did not have many goals in life. His only goal was to make sure that Zhao Yun'er was well. Nothing else mattered to him. This time, in order for Mu Lianfeng to return earlier and take less risks, Yi Li told the emperor that he was willing to follow Mu Lianfeng to the frontier fortress to take charge of the matters there and assist Mu Lianfeng. When the emperor saw that Yi Li had taken the initiative to volunteer, he knew that it was not easy. How could he refuse Yi Li? He immediately agreed. A few days later, Mu Lianfeng and Yi Li did not stay long in Shuilan village before they set off for the frontier fortress. She didn't know how long this farewell would take. After Mu Lianfeng left, although Zhao Yun'er often missed Mu Lianfeng, her life was not affected too much. She still lived her life as usual. She still cared about oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, and tea. After Qin Yuan recuperated at Zhao Yun'er's house for a while, the injury on his butt was much better. After a few more days of recuperation, he would be able to get out of bed and walk around. Zhao Pinger, on the other hand, was preparing for a major undertaking of hers, which was to become beautiful. Speaking of which, the third household was a bit surprised. They originally thought that Zhao Pinger's face could not be saved. However, Zhao Pinger went to the town's doctor to take a look. Unexpectedly, it could be slowly treated. The doctor prescribed a medicine for the birthmark on Zhao Pinger's face. After applying it every day, the birthmark on her face became lighter and lighter. Chapter 2382. Due to these improvements in her external appearance, Zhao Pinger looked a lot prettier than before. As the saying goes, a fair complexion covers up 3 ugly things. When a person was fair and her skin was better than before, she would look a lot prettier. Zhao Pinger was very satisfied with her changes. She would look at herself in the mirror every day just to see the minute changes in her appearance. Although she had spent quite a lot of money buying ointment and medicine from the doctor, she had already spent 20 to 30. In such a short period of time, he had already spent 20 to 30 taels. If he wanted to fix his entire face, he would need at least 60 to 70 taels. To a country bumpkin, 60 to 70 taels was definitely a huge amount of wealth. An ordinary family would probably scrimp and save for their entire life and might not even have 60 to 70 taels of silver. However, to Zhao Yun, the restaurants in Yang City had an income every day, so she was not too worried about money. As long as she could fix her face, then everything would be worth it. Since money could be exchanged for beauty, people like Zhao Pinger would spare no effort to exchange for it. Zhao Pinger walked in front of Qin Yuan with a shy look and asked Qin Yuan, "Big brother Yuan, take a look. How's my face recently?" Qin Yuan sized up Zhao Pinger and saw that Zhao Yun's face was much better than before. He praised, "Pinger, you've become really prettier these few days." It was not easy to receive Qin Yuan's praise. Zhao Pinger felt sweet inside. "Is that so? Of course. Big brother Yuan, you're not trying to make me happy, right?" Zhao Pinger stared at Qin Yuan and asked with a burning gaze. "Of course not. Pinger, I'm speaking the truth. You've really become prettier. The birthmark and spots on your face have faded a lot and your skin is much fairer too." Qin Yuan's gaze landed on Zhao Pinger and could not shift away. In fact, after Zhao Pinger's skin recovered, her facial features were really good. If the birthmark could be completely removed, her skin would become fair and smooth. Not only would she not be ugly, but she would also look like a great beauty. From the looks of it, he had profited. Why didn't he know that Zhao Pinger was actually quite pretty before? Zhao Pinger had a blissful look on her face. She chuckled and said, "Big brother Yuan, the doctor said that after another month the things on my face will all be removed. At that time I won't be ugly anymore. I know that my looks are a little too shabby. I'm a little unworthy of Big brother Yuan. When I'm not so ugly anymore, Big brother Yuan will say that I'm your wife in the future, and I won't embarrass you anymore." Zhao Pinger said sincerely. This was also what she was thinking. She was really too ugly. When Qin Yuan had married her, she had been laughed at so many times. Even if Qin Yuan did not despise her now, Zhao Pinger still did not want to embarrass Qin Yuan. The reason why she became prettier this time was not only because she did not want to continue being ugly and changed for Qin Yuan's sake, but also because she did not want Qin Yuan to embarrass himself because of having a wife like her. After hearing Zhao Pinger's words, Qin Yuan was very touched. What a silly woman. She always thought of him before doing anything. How could he not cherish this opportunity? Qin Yuan held Zhao Pinger's hand and said with an expression on his face, "Pinger, even if you're still the same and have not become prettier, I won't despise you." Chapter 2383. Zhao Pinger was also moved by Qin Yuan's words. She felt that everything was worth it for her big brother Yuan to be able to change from his previous attitude to this. With big brother Yuan around, life would always develop in a beautiful direction. "Big brother Yuan, you're so nice," Zhao Pinger said with a touched face. "Pinger, you're the best." Qin Yuan smiled slightly and also replied to Zhao Pinger. The two of them gazed at each other affectionately. Zhao Pinger even had an indescribable sense of happiness. She and big brother Yuan's relationship was really getting better. When she became beautiful again, she didn't know how happy she would be. The more she thought about it, the more excited Zhao Pinger became. In the past, Zhao Pinger felt that God was unfair to her. She was so ugly yet she couldn't get married. Now she felt that God wanted her to wait for Qin Sheng's arrival. At least, God was slowly giving her what she didn't have in the past. It was as if he was making up for what he owed her in the past. On Zhao Yun's side, she didn't have much to do after Mu Lianfeng left. Every day she would cook in the countryside and take care of the children. Because there were many people in the family, There were many things that others could help with. Therefore Zhao Yun'er was very relaxed and not tired. The weather also gradually turned a lot colder. Zhao Yun'er began to prepare to build a pigsty. It was very easy to buy a piece of land in the village. She also got Zhao Wenhua to invite a bricklayer and her eldest uncle and second uncle over. She also invited some men to help. Because the busy season of farming had passed, the rice in the fields had basically been harvested. The men in the countryside also had nothing to do at home. Many men were looking for this kind of work. Therefore, it was very easy for Zhao Yun'er's family to find people to come back and help with the work. In order to make his brothers' lives easier and help each other more, Zhao Wenhua asked Zhao Wenshui and Zhao Wentao to help him. He paid them 35 copper coins a day and even provided them with lunch. Zhao Wenshui was very happy. As a man, the most inconvenient thing for him was to cook. He hadn't cooked for decades, so how could he possibly know how to? He didn't have a wife at home, so he couldn't count on others. He also couldn't keep troubling his fourth brother, so he could only brace himself and do it himself. However, his culinary skills were too poor. The food he made was hard to swallow. Zhao Tianyu cried and refused to eat. After a period of torment, Zhao Wenshui felt that he had lost a lot of weight due to hunger. Now that he was helping his third brother's family with their work, the best thing he could do was to have a meal at noon, which would more or less solve some of his problems. Zhao Wenhua had already contacted someone to order the bricks and tiles for the pigsty and sent them to Shuilan village. He had been preparing to build the pigsty for the past few days. Once the pigsty was built, he could raise pigs. Zhao Yun'er's youngest aunt's family could come over and busy themselves with raising pigs. In fact, according to Zhao Yun'er's family's current wealth, they didn't need to earn money at all. The money they had now was enough to eat and drink well for the rest of their lives. However, if they didn't do anything at home every day, they would feel that their lives were too empty. If there was something that they could work on, they would feel that their lives were more promising. Moreover, building a pigsty was a long-term skill. If they asked their relatives to help, they would also be able to earn money from the work. It was better to teach a man to fish than to give him a fish. No matter how rich she was, she couldn't give it to others for no reason. She had to make everyone rich together. Chapter 2384. The only thing she could do was to help the people she was close to not have to work so hard so that they could live more comfortably. Everything was going according to Zhao Yun'er's plan. Everything was proceeding in an orderly manner and they did not encounter any trouble or obstacles. The day before they started work, Zhao Wenshui suddenly ran to the third branch's house crying and started complaining to them. Zhao Yun'er's family asked with concern, "Second brother, what's wrong with you?" "Yeah, why is second brother crying all of a sudden? What happened?" Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao were a little confused. Zhao Wenshui was still fine yesterday. How did he suddenly become like this? Moreover, Zhao Wenshui was bawling loudly as if he had encountered something very serious. Zhao Ping-er had already applied the ointment on her face. She happened to be in the courtyard and asked Zhao Wenshui, "Second uncle, why are you crying so sadly? Did my grandmother die?" If Hua Chunhua really died, she would probably clap her hands and praise her. That old witch liked to cause trouble every day. She should have been dealt with long ago. How could she continue to be so carefree? After Zhao Ping-er finished speaking, Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao both glared at Zhao Ping-er. This girl really did not use her brain before speaking. "Ping-er, what nonsense are you talking about? How could you curse your grandmother like that?" "That's right. You like to talk nonsense. How could your grandmother die when she was fine? If your grandmother heard this, she would probably settle the score with you." Zhao Ping-er pursed her lips and replied unhappily, "Father, mother, I was just saying it casually. Do you have to be so fierce to me?" Liang Jinxiao said with a solemn face, "Sai, when will you change your character, lass? You don't even think before you speak." Zhao Ping-er saw that Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao were really angry, so she didn't say anything. After Zhao Ping-er stopped talking, Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao said to Zhao Wenshui, "Second brother, you haven't told us what happened." When Zhao Wenshui thought of this, he started crying again. "Wu, third brother, third sister-in-law, I feel so aggrieved." Zhao Wenhua quickly asked, "Why?" "Second brother, tell us quickly. How would we know if you don't tell us?" "Well, third brother, third sister-in-law, second brother might really be single for the rest of his life." "Wah. Second brother. Second brother, what should I do in the future?" The more Zhao Wenshui spoke, the sadder he became. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao looked at each other. What did Zhao Wenshui mean by this? "Second brother. What do you mean by you'll be single for the rest of your life? Why did you suddenly say that? Well, Zhao Wenhua choked a few more times. Your second sister-in-law and second brother are really impossible. She's actually getting married. I thought that as long as I persevered, your second sister-in-law would agree to forgive me and I could live happily with her in the future. Who knew that she's already preparing to marry someone else? That means that it's impossible between us. What should I do? How can your second sister-in-law be so cruel to me? She's really abandoning me? After hearing Zhao Wenshui's words, Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao couldn't help but sigh. In fact, they had already known about this for a long time. Previously, they had seen Li Chuiying and Zhao Wenshui together in Yang City. They also knew that the two of them were about to be together, but they didn't dare to tell Zhao Wenshui about it. Chapter 2385. After all, he knew that Zhao Wenshui would definitely be sad when he found out. Zhao Wenshui finally decided to change. He wanted to live a good life and find Li Chuiying. He wanted Li Chuiying to live a good life with him. If Zhao Wenshui knew that Li Chuiying chose to be with Zhao Ping, would he lose his determination to continue living a good life? Sometimes life was like this. There was only one constant goal. Only when one had a plan and had something to look forward to could one live a good life. Only then could one make up one's mind and stick to the path one should take. However, once this dream was shattered, one might not be able to recover from the setback and lose the motivation to continue living a good life. After all, the truth could not be concealed. Zhao Ping was from the same village as them. Even if they tried to hide this matter, they could not hide it for too long. This time, he didn't know where Zhao Wenshui had heard the news from. After hearing the news, he started bawling his eyes out in grief. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao sympathized with Zhao Wenshui. They knew that Zhao Wenshui had changed a lot recently. He worked hard and was very different from before. Second brother, don't be sad. This is second sister-in-law's choice. As time passes, she will slowly forget about it. You work hard now and earn more money back. Later, find a few reliable matchmakers to help you search. You will definitely be able to find a woman who is willing to live with you. Zhao Yunlong patted Zhao Wenshui's shoulder and said. Liang Jinxiao also responded, yes, second brother, don't be sad. Second sister-in-law must not know about your current situation. When she comes back and sees that you have changed, she will believe it. Then she might be willing to continue living with you. No matter what, second sister-in-law is Tianyu's mother. Which mother would bear to let her child suffer? Living with you is the best for Tianyu. Hearing Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao's words, Zhao Wenshui blinked and looked up to ask, third brother, third sister-in-law, is that really the case? Yes, second brother. It's useless to think so much now. Don't think about it. Living a good life is the best. Woo-woo. Zhao Wenshui could not help but wipe the tears from the corners of his eyes. He could not bear the thought of Li Chuiying living with another man. In his heart, how could he not know that Zhao Yunlong and Liang Jinxiao were saying these words to comfort him? Once Li married Zhao Ping, it would be difficult for Li Chuiying to come back to live a good life with him. However, he was willing to accept this lie. This way, he could deceive himself and give himself some hope. Otherwise, he felt that there was nothing to look forward to living a good life. Second brother, don't cry. Men don't cry easily. It's not good for a man to cry. People will laugh at you if they see you like this. Zhao Wenhua continued to persuade him. Yes. Second brother, calm down first. Zhao Wenshui choked and wiped the corners of his eyes. Second brother, sit down and rest for a while. Don't tire yourself out. Yes. Zhao Wenshui sat down on a stool and tried to hold back his tears. Seeing Zhao Wenshui like this, Zhao Yun'er felt that he was inexplicably adorable. She had never seen Zhao Wenshui so adorable before. Chapter 2386. After comforting Zhao Wenshui for a while, Zhao Wenshui went back to old Zhao's house. In the past 2 days, Zhao Yun'er's pig pen had been built. At first, they were laying the foundation. Because there were many people working, the work was done quickly. Within 7 or 8 days, the foundation had been laid. Laying the foundation was the most important step. Only after the foundation was laid could the house be built. A few days after the foundation was laid, Zhao Ping and Li Chuiying held a banquet to announce that they were going to spend the rest of their lives together. Because it was Li Chuiying's second marriage, unlike other newlyweds, they didn't hold a lavish wedding. Instead, they kept everything simple. Zhao Ping didn't invite other people in the village to the banquet either. He only invited his relatives and a few close friends of the Zhao family. There were only 2 tables in total. 2 women from the village who were good at cooking were invited to cook for them. Zhao Yun'er's family was naturally invited to the banquet. Except for the 4th branch, old Zhao's other family members didn't attend the banquet. Especially the 2nd branch, Zhao Baoshan and Hua Chunhua. Zhao Wenshui didn't attend the banquet because Li Chuanying was his daughter-in-law. It would be very awkward if he attended the banquet. Zhao Baoshan and Hua Chunhua didn't attend the banquet because Li Chuanying was their daughter-in-law. Originally, she was part of old Zhao's family. Li Chuanying suddenly got together with Zhao Ping. It would be a little difficult for them to accept Li Chuanying. After the villagers learned about it, many people laughed at the old Zhao's family. They said that old Zhao's daughter-in-law got together with someone else, which was embarrassing. This time, Zhao Ping and Li Chuanying held a banquet. How could they attend the banquet? In Zhao Yun'er's family, only Zhao Yunhua and Liang Jinxiao went to eat. After all, there were too many people in the family. If all of them went, they would be able to fill the table. Wouldn't this be taking advantage of Zhao Ping's family? Because of this, Zhao Wenshui was depressed at home for a few more days. After a few days he finally had the mood to go to work. Even if the sad days had to go on, he couldn't interfere with Li Chuanying's decision. No matter how much he wanted to get Li Chuanying back, there was nothing he could do if Li Chuanying refused to live with him. After all, he was the one who did something wrong and made Li Chuanying sad. What he needed to do now was to change himself and not do such ridiculous things again. At least he wouldn't regret it in the future. Li Chuanying and Zhao Ping were together. Every day when they cooked, Li Chuanying would call Zhao Tianyu to eat with him. This solved a problem for Zhao Wenshui. Li Chuanying knew that Zhao Tianyu was very tired every day. Zhao Tianyu's clothes and the dirty clothes that he didn't have time to wash were all washed together. This was a great help to Zhao Tianyu. Otherwise, as a man, he wouldn't be able to do such work. After these things, Zhao Wenshui thought it through. Although Li Chuanying didn't come back to live with him, Li Chuanying really thought a lot about him when he chose Zhao Ping. In addition, Zhao Ping didn't mind Li Chuanying's help, so he was very grateful to Zhao Ping. After thinking it through, Zhao Wenshui felt a lot more at ease in his heart. He also felt an unprecedented sense of relief. He had more hope for the future. The days passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was late autumn. The pigsty was almost finished. Only the beams and a layer of tiles were left. More than 20 pigsty would be completed. Chapter 2387. As for the barren hilltop, Zhu Eru and Mulan were busy planting tea trees. They were waiting for the new tea leaves to be harvested next year. The days were progressing in a better direction. Zhao Yun'er saw that although the people around her were busy, their lives were very fulfilling. Especially the days in the countryside, there was an indescribable feeling of comfort. The only thing that made Zhao Yun'er uneasy was Mu Lianfeng's situation. Mu Lianfeng and Yi Li should have reached the frontier fortress. She just didn't know how they were doing there and whether they had encountered any dangerous situations. She was afraid that Mu Lianfeng would encounter any accidents. However, in the late autumn, old Zhao's family received a piece of good news. It was someone from the capital city who had specially sent the good news to Shuilan village. A large group of people beating gongs and drums stopped in front of old Zhao's house. Many people in the village were attracted over, wanting to know what was going on. When old Zhao's family saw so many people, they also came out of the house. As the head of the family, Zhao Baoshan said to the leader, "Sir, may I know why so many people have come to my house?" "Congratulations, old master. Your eldest grandson Zhao Tianlong got 3rd place in this year's autumn examination. In the future, he will be a high-ranking official in the capital city. We have specially come to tell you the good news. This is really a joyous matter." Hearing the words of the leader of this team, the people of the Zhao family were stunned for a moment, and then they reacted. All of them were extremely excited. Zhao Tianlong was actually so promising that he actually got 3rd place in the imperial examination. This was an incredible matter. Actually, it was already not easy to become a high scholar. After becoming a high scholar, one would be able to become an official. Who would have thought that Zhao Tianlong would get 3rd place in the imperial examination? How many people in the Great Zhou dynasty had participated in the imperial examination? Someone like Zhao Tianlong was 1 in 10,000. Being 3rd place in the imperial examination was enough to show how amazing Zhao Tianlong was. Furthermore, this person had also said that Zhao Tianlong would be an official in the capital in the future. That would be even more incredible. The salary of an official in the capital city was probably higher than that of a county deputy in Sun City. After this, wouldn't the entire old Zhao family become part of the government? In old Zhao's family, it could be said that when one person attained the Tao, even his chickens and dogs would ascend to heaven. Thanks to Zhao Qianlong's good fortune, he was able to achieve meteoric success together with them. What? My Tianlong actually came in third place? Am I dreaming? Feng Zhangxia was overjoyed. She felt that it was unreal. Then he hurriedly said to Zhao Wenshi, "Father of Sky Dragon, quickly pinch me and see if it hurts. Let me know if I'm dreaming." Zhao Wenshi was equally confused. He quickly said to Feng Zhangxia, "Come pinch me too. Let me see if it hurts. Am I dreaming?" Good. Zhao Wenshi and Feng Zhangxia pinched each other. With a bit of force they both gasped in pain. However, it was precisely because of this pain that the two of them were even happier. Pain meant that this was real. Their son, Zhao Tianlong, had really achieved meteoric success and was third place in the imperial examination. Oh, it's true. Father of Sky Dragon, our son has really made a name for himself. Feng Zhangxia was extremely excited. She was grinning from ear to ear. Chapter 2388. After all, our Sky Dragon is ambitious. Although we've spent a lot of money on his studies, he's motivated and has been working hard. He didn't let us down and got third place in the exam. The first branch was happy because Zhao Tianlong was part of the first branch. As Zhao Qianlong's biological parents, how could they not be excited? Although they had separated from the main branch, the other branches were equally happy. Zhao Tianlong getting third place was the luck of the entire old Zhao family. It gave all the members of the old Zhao family a lot of face. Who knew how many people would be envious of them if they told others about it? Especially after Zhao Tianlong became an official. Once he became a high-ranking official, wouldn't they become relatives of high-ranking officials? With a relative who was an official, their lives would be much better. Sometimes, when dealing with people, they would treat them well on account of Zhao Tianlong. As for the old Zhao family, they would definitely become a prestigious family in Shuilan village. The other branches all had smiles on their faces. They couldn't wait to let the entire Shuilan village know about Zhao Tianlong's third place. Not bad. Tianlong didn't embarrass me. Zhao Baoshan chuckled. Compared to Zhao Wenshi and Feng Zhangxia, he was much calmer. However, he still couldn't hide the smile on his face. Old master, third place is a dragon among men. It's not easy to get first place. The leader of the group shouted. Zhao Wentao quickly reminded Zhao Baoshan in the first branch. "Father, big brother, what are you guys still standing there for? Hurry up and invite the officials to our house to have a drink and rest. They rushed such a long way to bring us this good news. We can't let them just stand there." Zhao Baoshan nodded heavily. Yes. Old Wu is right. Look at my brain, it's not working well. Young people are a little slow-witted. After saying that, Zhao Baoshan said to the group, "Please come in and have a rest. We'll have lunch at my house. I'll make some good dishes to treat them." The person who brought the good news didn't delay. Instead, he entered old Zhao's house. Zhao Baoshan was overjoyed. He hurriedly called for his family to start preparing. Hua Chunhua was also grinning from ear to ear. When she thought about how Zhao Tianlong would become an official, she, as his grandmother, would definitely be able to enjoy a good life together with him. She would be able to live a good life in the future and become the old madam of the Shangguan family. That would naturally be something to be happy about and proud of. Hua Chunhua said, "My eldest daughter-in-law, my fourth daughter-in-law, you have to cook more delicious dishes for lunch and treat them well. Don't let our family lose face." Feng Zhangxia giggled and replied, "Mother, of course." Chen Zhozha asked, "Mother, what kind of good hospitality do we have?" Hua Chunhua's eyes turned as she pondered and said, "I have a dozen chickens at my place. You guys go pick a few out and make some chickens to eat." "Mother, just chicken seems a little shabby. What else do we have to make?" Chen Zhozha felt that just eating chicken would be too monotonous. Moreover, they came from the capital, so they might not fancy such food. Chapter 2389. Yes, sure. We still have to have pork. Just having chicken won't do. Chen Zhui nodded vigorously, agreeing with Hua Chunhua's words. Because they lived in the countryside, it was very inconvenient to eat meat. They could only go to Yang City or town to buy pork. Their village did not have a butcher, unlike other villages that had butchers who could buy pork directly. There were more people in the village, so there should be people who would buy some to eat. This was because there were many people in old Zhao's courtyard who came to watch the show. When they heard Hu Chunhua and Qian Hongzhao's conversation, some people took the initiative to curry favor. A woman walked up and said to Hu Chunhua and Qian Hongzhao, "No need to ask any more. My family has it. I just bought 2 caddies from town today. I'll go get it for you." The reason why she was trying to curry favor was because Zhao Tianlong was a high school graduate. If it were someone else, they probably would not do this. There were many benefits to having a good relationship with the Zhao family. The villagers were all smart people. Naturally, they could see the situation clearly and knew what to do. Wu Chunhua beamed and said, Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. We're all from the same village, so we should help each other. Tianlong, this child has done our Shuilan village proud. You don't have to pay for these 2 caddies of meat. You can eat it. Take it as my congratulations to your Zhao family. 2 caddies of meat cost dozens of copper coins. Since it was free, Hu Chunhua was naturally very happy. She politely thanked them and knew what they meant. She deliberately said, "When that child, Tianlong, comes back, we must talk to him and let him remember this friendship." When the woman heard this, she immediately stopped joking and was very happy. When the other villagers heard this, they could not help it. Another came over to curry favor and said, "My relatives just sent me a few jugs of good wine. I'll go get it for your family too. You have so many officials in your family, so you must use wine to entertain them." Wu Chunhua was a greedy person. When she heard this, she quickly said, "Okay, thank you. I'll talk to my family's Tianlong later. The people in our village are so friendly. They're all good people." None of them were willing to fall behind, for fear that they would be targeted by the Zhao clan and not be able to benefit from it in the future. Basically, everyone who had something at home took out everything they had and waited for old Zhao's family to send it over. They wanted to establish a good relationship with him so that they could benefit from it in the future. Wu Chunhua enjoyed the feeling of being sought after by the entire village. This time, Zhao Tianlong had really brought honor to his family. If it was in the past, the villagers would not have fawned over them like this. There was a difference between passing the exam and not passing the exam. If you passed the exam, everyone would fear you and want to curry favor with you. Thinking that Zhao Tianlong would be able to become a high-ranking official in the future, Hu Chunhua felt an indescribable sense of pride. At this moment, in front of everyone, Hu Chunhua straightened her back even more and had a proud look on her face. Feng Zhangxia was the same as Hu Chunhua. She was also very pleased with herself. Especially when she heard the villagers praising Zhao Tianlong and envying her, how could she not be happy? In the future, when Zhao Tianlong became a high-ranking official, she would be the wife of a high-ranking official. How much face would she have if this were to spread out? Of course, face was one thing. Enjoying life in the future was another. Chapter 2390. After waiting for this year, she felt that all the hardships she had suffered in the past were worth it. This was because what parents hoped for the most was for their children to succeed. Fortunately, Zhao Tianlong did not disappoint her. Feng Zhangxia said to Hu Chunhua, "Mother, our family's culinary skills are not very good. The food that we make probably won't satisfy these officials. Why don't we call Yuner over? That girl's culinary skills are good and the food she makes is delicious. The officials will definitely be satisfied after eating it." Since these people were here to announce the good news as the family members of the current third-place finisher, they naturally had to help old Zhao maintain his reputation. These people who were here to announce the good news would not feel that their old Zhao family's food was too shabby. After hearing Feng Zhangxia's words, Hu Chunhua nodded and expressed her agreement. "It is indeed much better to let Yuner come over to cook. If we cook, it will purely be a waste of ingredients and we won't be able to make such delicious food. It's just that Yuner's personality is too stingy. She might not be willing to come over and help us cook." After all, this was not an easy task. In addition, Zhao Yuner was the current heir's consort and not an ordinary country girl. Naturally, she could not be casually ordered around to do such dirty and tiring work in the kitchen. Feng Zhangxia smiled and said, "It's fine, mother. I'll go and talk to them first. If it really doesn't work, I'll call someone else over. However, this is Qianlong's joyous occasion. Yuner has never been calculative about such important matters. She should agree to come over and help." Feng Zhangxia had a certain understanding of Zhao Yuner. Zhao Yuner's stinginess was only in matters of principle. Most of the time, she was never stingy about important matters. Just like when old Zhao's family held a few joyous occasions, Zhao Yuner had always come over to help. If her tone was slightly better and she begged Zhao Yun or more, Zhao Yun would definitely agree. Hua Chunhua responded, "All right, then you go." Yeah. Feng Zhangxia ran towards Zhao Yun's house. Before Feng Zhangxia arrived at Zhao Yun's house, Zhao Yun's family had already found out about Zhao Qianlong's third-place ranking. When the messenger arrived, everyone in the village went over to old Zhao's house to watch the commotion. When they found out that Zhao Tianlong had passed the high scholar examination, the news spread like wildfire throughout the village. In no time the news had spread like wildfire. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao were very happy when they found out that Zhao Tianlong had come in third place. They laughed and said, "Tianlong has been very outstanding since he was young. After he started studying he received a lot of praise from the teachers. Who would have thought that he would really pass the imperial examination and even get third place? This was a rare happy occasion. I don't think there's a talent like him in every village within 10 miles. Yes. There are so many people taking part in the imperial examination in Dezhou. It wasn't easy for Tianlong to stand out among them. It's our old Zhao's fortune. Our old Zhao's family saved up a lot of money for Qianlong's studies over the years. Now that we see him succeed in his studies and stand out among his peers, it's really gratifying. Isn't that right? To be able to get third place in the imperial examination, it was worth it no matter how hard we worked. It's really a happy occasion. I reckon that Tianlong will be back soon. We have to prepare some gifts for big brother and sister-in-law. In the future we will definitely hold a banquet to congratulate Tianlong." Chapter 2391. Okay. Haha, we should go to father and mother's place to join in the fun. Zhao Wenhua was a person who liked to join in the fun. She called out to Liang Jinxiao and couldn't wait to join in the fun. Liang Jinxiao smiled and nodded. "Okay, I'll go and get ready. Do you want to go and take a look?" Liang Jinxiao even called out to Zhao Yun as he spoke. These days he saw that Zhao Yun was bored staying at home all day, so he wondered if there was something lively to take Zhao Yun to have a look so that he could kill some time. Zhao Yun smiled and replied, "Okay mother, I'll join in the fun." Anyway, she was just staying at home and there wasn't anything important to do. She might as well join in the fun. Although she didn't have a good impression of her eldest cousin brother, Zhao Tianlong, it wasn't easy for Zhao Tianlong to pass the imperial examinations and even get third place in the examination. At the very least, it showed that Zhao Tianlong was a talent. Zhao Yun had some understanding of the ancient imperial examinations. The imperial examinations were the best way for people at the bottom of society to climb up. Villagers like them could only use the imperial examinations to change their social class fate. They wouldn't have to be poor farmers for the rest of their lives. Once they passed the imperial examinations, it was equivalent to a carp leaping over the dragon's gate and achieving meteoric success. However, passing the imperial examinations wasn't easy. It was much more difficult than the imperial examinations in the 21st century. It wasn't easy to become the provincial top scorer in the 21st century's imperial examinations. In ancient times, it was a national examination, so it was even more difficult. However, once one passed the imperial examinations, it meant that one could become an official and live a good life. That was why old Zhao's family and the entire Shuilan village were so excited when Zhao Tianlong got third place in the imperial examinations. Just as the family was about to leave, they saw Feng Zhangxia walking over. Once she saw Zhao Yun, Feng Zhangxia came over with a smile. It was better to wait for Zhao Yun to congratulate her. Feng Zhangxia had already taken the initiative to say it. "Yuner girl, third brother, third sister-in-law, let me tell you a piece of good news. My family's Tianlong has passed the third place. The people in the capital have just sent the news." Seeing Feng Zhangxia beaming with joy, he knew how she felt at the moment. Zhao Yun, Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao all congratulated him. Feng Zhangxia smiled shyly and explained her purpose in front of Zhao Yun with some embarrassment. "Yuner, Auntie has a favor to ask of you. I don't know if you're willing to. If you have something to say, just say it." "Yuner, it's like this. A group of people came to report the good news. There are about 7 or 8 of them. Your grandfather and grandmother said that we should treat them well. However, you know our culinary skills. No one can cook well. I'm afraid that these officials will dislike our food. Therefore, I came to ask Yuner if you can help cook a meal for the head chef. Just treat them this once will do. Auntie knows that I've troubled you with this matter and I'm a little embarrassed. However, there's no other way. When your eldest cousin brother comes back, I'll ask him to thank you properly. Feng Zhangxia's words made it difficult to refuse. However, to Zhao Yuner, this wasn't a big deal. Chapter 2392. Zhao Yuner said, "Auntie, I haven't said that I don't want to. But if I help cook, there's no one at home to cook. I'll have to bring my parents and Daodu, Tianfu and Tianan over to eat. Otherwise, it would be more troublesome for them to cook lunch for themselves in the third branch." Liang Jinxia was pregnant and couldn't do too much work. Mu Hin, on the other hand, had to help Mu Lan's family. Feng Zhangxia heard this and quickly nodded in agreement. "Don't worry. Little girl Yun, since you're going to be the chef, your family will definitely have to follow you to eat. Even if you don't cook, they'll definitely call your third branch over for such a joyous occasion." Zhao Yuner nodded. "Well, Auntie, that's fine. I'll go and help cook this lunch." When Feng Zhangxia heard this, she immediately smiled and said a few words to Zhao Yuner gratefully. "Yuner girl, thank you so much. Only your good craftsmanship can support our old Zhao family's image. Auntie will remember your help this time. If you need any help in the future, Auntie will definitely do her best to help." In terms of eloquence, no one could beat Feng Zhangxia. Her words were very beautiful, but whether she could actually do it was another matter. At least from Zhao Yuner's understanding of Feng Zhangxia was only good at talking. She didn't really help people much. Zhao Yuner didn't like to be calculative in this aspect. Since she had decided to help out in the kitchen, she definitely didn't expect Feng Zhangxia to return this favor. "Then let's go now," Zhao Yuner called out. It was almost noon, so it was time to prepare to cook. If they cooked a few more dishes, they would have to work for a long time. It couldn't be delayed, so they had to hurry over to old Zhao's house and start working. Feng Zhangxia nodded heavily and responded, "Okay, let's go, let's go." "Zhao Yuner." Zhao Pinger's voice suddenly came from behind. Zhao Yuner turned around and asked plainly, "What? If you leave, what will Brother Yuan and I eat for lunch?" Zhao Pinger's tone had some dissatisfaction. The other members of the third branch could go to old Zhao's house to eat, but he and Qin Yuan couldn't. Because of Zhao Xinhui's incident, Zhao Ping'er and Hua Chunhua couldn't get along and couldn't meet. If Zhao Ping'er and Qin Yuan also went to old Zhao's house to eat lunch, with Hua Chunhua's temper, she would definitely chase them out with a knife. Since that was the case, they naturally wouldn't go over and invite a snub. At this moment, Feng Zhangxia also turned around and looked at Zhao Ping'er, feeling very displeased. She had finally succeeded in persuading Zhao Yuner to help out in the kitchen. How could she let Zhao Ping'er come over and mess things up? The moment she saw Zhao Ping'er's face, Feng Zhangxia jumped in fright as if she had seen a ghost. At this moment, Zhao Ping'er's face was smeared with a layer of green medicine, making her entire face look very scary. Feng Zhangxia's first reaction in her mind was that Zhao Ping'er was really too ugly. Her second reaction was that ugly people were always up to no good. She was so ugly, yet she actually came out for a stroll. Zhao Yuner curled her lips and replied plainly, "Can't you burn your own hands and feet? Are you still counting on others?" Chapter 2393. Zhao Yuner rolled her eyes. This Zhao Ping'er was totally finding excuses for her own laziness. Even if it was really as Zhao Ping'er said, then Zhao Ping'er was indeed too pampering Qin Yuan. Everything she did was for Qin Yuan's sake. Was she afraid that Qin Yuan would not be full for a meal or something? "Big sister Ping'er, when I usually cook, why don't you learn by the side? Don't you know how to cook when you do other things every day?" Zhao Yuner replied indifferently. Zhao Ping'er pursed her lips. I can't learn it." "Then is it because your brain is too stupid?" "Zhao Yuner, what do you mean?" "Literally. Look, big sister Ping'er, you still can't understand human language." Zhao Ping'er glared at Zhao Yuner angrily. "You slut, you're too much." "Too much? How is it too much? It's you who's too much, right? Isn't it just lunch? You didn't do it yourself, yet you're counting on others. Even if Qin Yuan isn't used to other people's cooking, it's just a meal. Can't you just make do with a meal and eat something?" After being rebuked by Zhao Yuner like this, Zhao Ping'er did not know what to say. However, she still replied unwillingly, "Zhao Yuner, Big Brother Yuan's injuries haven't healed yet. You can't treat him unfairly." Zhao Yuner snorted lightly and replied sarcastically, "Haven't healed yet? How many days has it been, and you still say that he hasn't healed yet? Zhao Ping'er, are you using Qin Yuan's injuries as an excuse to stay here and not leave?" I think the two of you can pack up and scram back to family Qin these few days. You, Zhao Ping stared at Zhao Yun'er not knowing what to say. In fact, Zhao Yun'er had guessed one thing correctly. She and Qin Yuan did want to continue to stay in the third branch. Not to mention that the third branch lived in a much better place. The most important thing was that the food in the third branch was also very good. This was something that family Qin couldn't compare to. Qin Yuan liked to eat Zhao Yun'er's cooking. He could eat every meal to his heart's content. If they returned to the family Qin, although they could buy good food with money, Zhao Ping'er and Qin Yuan's mother were not good at cooking. Even if they bought good ingredients, it would be a waste if they did not cook well. She might as well stay at Zhao Yun'er's place. At least she could eat and drink well every day. She wanted to live comfortably. How could she be willing to return to the family Qin? Big sister Ping, I didn't want to scold you at first, but you were so picky when you stayed in my house. You didn't know your place. Don't blame me for leaving quickly. Zhao Ping, pursed her lips and said, I left a long time ago. I'll move out in a few days. I'm already looking for a house in Yang City. Once I buy it, I'll move to Yang City. Who wants to live in this lousy countryside? It's best if you don't want to. Zhao Yun, curled her lips and said. Zhao Ping, angrily turned around and went inside the house. Zhao Yun'er was too lazy to talk to Zhao Ping. She walked with Feng Zhangxia towards old Zhao's house. Feng Zhangxia sighed in relief. Fortunately, Zhao Yun'er didn't go back on her words. Otherwise she would hate Zhao Ping to death. Feng Zhangxia felt uncomfortable whenever she thought of Zhao Ping. She said to Zhao Yun'er, Yun'er, you're too nice. You let Ping and her husband stay in your house for so long. Don't you think it's troublesome? If it were me, I would have chased them away long ago if you were so picky and ordered me to do this and that. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.